your agenda later this morning.
Good morning.
No F bombs or nothing like that.
No,
Since we're lucky.
your guy.
You know you would never do that.
I wouldn't mean to.
See you, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
Hey, Andy. Did you see that email?
Well, folks, Amy's asking if she can reschedule her budget meeting because Jared's grandfather just passed away.
Who's this?
Yeah, Board of DD.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You okay with that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
we're
We
good
have
with that.
time next week, I think.
Board of DDs, no.
Yeah.
Board of DD cancel. Postpone.
Okay. You want to check with the health department, see if they want to come up half hour early?
Try.
And check with the sheriff, see if he can come to 2:30 instead of 3 o'clock.
Kathy, if you want to call the health department, I'll get the sheriff.
Okay.
2:30? For the
Yeah.
sheriff?
Yeah.
Let me write it here. Call real quick.
We got 9 o'clock. So we'll get the November 17th Commissioners meeting underway. With the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bills for the week. $1,962,455.81. The vast majority of that was ACGP grant funds in the amount of $1,709,032.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And just while we're speaking about ACGP, got a email from the Department of Development, Don Goebel, Deputy Chief of Audit Departments there, and they audited the ACGP grant funds and found the results of our audit and conclusions were there were no matters of accounting control weakness, no costs, no legal compliance matters, and everything in there was perfect. So they have been handling 31 projects now that the Georgetown project's been split, and that's a total of over $154 million that they've been juggling around over there. So I sent them an email this morning congratulating them on that, and that's just outstanding work.
Definitely doing good.
Then the now analysis, $256,484.98, $233,989.60 were for the 2025 pavement marking project that the engineering department is doing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. What fast about that?
Yep. Transfer from the Planning and Development Department, from the general fund, the travel, other expenses and supplies, all are going into the group insurance fund to pay the necessary increase for the remainder of 2025 in an amount of $4,500. So they're transferring it from travel, other expenses and supplies.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Transfer of funds for the Emergency Management Agency from salaries to group insurance and Medicare in the amount of $1,250 to cover the fringe benefit costs for the rest of the year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Transfer of funds for the the US 23 Major Crimes Task Force.
Yes, sir.
This is in the DLEF grant, confidential funds into travel for the amount of $288.20.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Transfer of funds, Ross County Juvenile Court, within the CASA grant. So they're taking travel and expense and equipment expense into miscellaneous expense in the amount of $750.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Was that an email that you sent me just now?
This is from the Ross County Auditor for the CLE fund, transferring CLE from the general fund into CLE for the amount of $249,500 for the additional funding and the new wage increase from the new contract. George was in last week to talk to us about that.
So moved.
Transfer. No.
They got two in here for the same amount, and I think this is going into salaries. This is the same money.
Same money, they just had to appropriate it when they had to transfer it.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So that was to take the money out of the general fund. This next one is to move it from CLE fund into salaries and Medicare accounts.
Okay, same thing, so moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Appropriation of funds from ATP grant into other expense and administrative expense. This is to apply the revenue funds received into expense account from the grant, $8,183.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. This is the same dance involving the same grant, or a different grant from CASA grant. Last one was ATP, and this is to take money from that grant into reimbursement, general fund, and miscellaneous expense, a total of $17,422.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Got an asset disposal form from the treasurer's office for a vector calculator. Doesn't work. Was that 12 cents?
So,
For the calculator.
calculator.
David is efficient down there.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
have a lease agreement from Ross County Shoemaker Airport to Steve Engel to store his plane out there. Just the agreement for him to lease a hangar. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
We full out there yet?
Yep. We're not.
We need to talk about that letter we sent to Duncan about what they wanted to do, but didn't really ask them what they wanted to do. We just got a response back. Thank you. I need a little more detail than
From what they want to do?
that. Yeah, they didn't pick anything. He just said
Yeah,
thank
Exactly.
you. Yeah. So, all right, thank you, but we still want to know what you want to do. Have a construction contract award for the water line replacement in Bainbridge. That award was gone to Brackney Incorporated. And he was the low bidder, amount of $6,514,788.
Just the grant money.
Right.
So moved. The village council already approved that.
Second.
Yeah, part of it's coming from our PIG grant, and the other one's coming from a
That's what I was just
Yeah.
making sure.
All good?
Yes.
I was just making sure we weren't paying the $6 million.
That's the same thing I was thinking. We definitely pulled up.
That's some of that extra money we were talking about earlier. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. We got about $6 million
Start using it up.
there.
And last thing I've got is 2 requests for the active transportation plan. One for $6,000. They want to apply to have a contribution. They're requesting us to give them a contribution for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2027. That's the Ross County Community Action. They're asking us for a contribution.
That is the grant that used to be through the health department, and we've contributed that to the health department annually. So they have now transferred that grant to community action. They're no longer handling that.
So that came out of the health department's budget, that we were giving them that money?
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
Second, it's a cost, the way I read it was it's a cost share
Right.
for another.
Right.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And the planning department wants to pursue funding for the development of an active transportation plan. And they're asking to letter of support for the ODOT active transportation grant.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The one for the planning department goes right in line with the category for the comprehensive plan regarding transportation. Brad, you got anything?
Yeah. Working on getting this contract signed, or adjusted. There had some bad dates in it for the service center project. Still need the second part of the funding for that so I can get this signed. Tuesday, we'll have a meeting with Schooley and Berglund. Still need some ideas on what you guys want to do as far as scope on that project. I keep telling them we'll get it, I haven't got it yet. I did talk to Austin Musser last week about where he'd been. Promised we would have some documents. We talked about the same issue that you brought up. I asked him to, let's be a little more forceful and put some stuff together, so he's gonna put a document together. I thought I'd have it for you this morning, but I still don't have it. It kinda says where we are, what we want, you know, I keep telling him, we don't want him to run that business from the airport. I think that's the bottom line, right? So that's what I asked him to do, so we'll see what he presents us.
Unless they're gonna pay us something for the depreciation of the equipment and whatnot.
Yeah.
If you're gonna pay us for running their business out of the airport. I'll take $1 million or so if they're, a year, if they're gonna run their business out of the airport.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't think that's what we want to do. I got a timesheet here for Brad.
Well, at least not
Something.
out of those hangars.
Yeah, not out of those hangars, the hangars would be, I mean,
You know,
Yeah.
maybe we talk about looking at another spot on the airport, maybe where we were talking about box hangars or somewhere else on the property.
yeah.
But I told him I didn't think that was a good idea. I think we just really want that business separate from the airport business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they want to be the FBO, then let's talk about that, but
Mhm.
running the business is probably not gonna work for us.
I want to get that flight school out there as soon as
Yeah,
possible.
I know,
wanna
I'm
do
working on
this
that too,
year.
yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Brad's
Aye.
timesheet.
But my thing is
Thank you.
if they're bringing tankers in there and they're going from our airport to someplace else to deliver fuel, you know, if they're still doing that, which they are, they wanna pay us for them sitting their trucks on that spot out there, they're going to come up with some, in my opinion, they're gonna come up with some big bucks. 'Cause I really don't want that fuel sitting out there on that airport.
That, we don't meter that at all, do we, Brad?
No,
Comes out of the tanks in the ground.
they put it in, they take it out. It's their fuel in our fund.
Yeah.
I will say, we got probably the biggest check for that fuel farm this past time than we've ever gotten from that fuel.
Is that right? And then, is it because of the number of sales?
I'd say it's because you're making them accountable for what they're putting out in that tank. It was like $1,400 and some odd dollars, and that's almost double what the norm would be.
Let's see it next month.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably had more business in there that month because of the Pixel deal and some other things.
Yeah.
So there were probably more planes, more jets in there. I know when the Pixel deal went down, there were 3 or 4 jets sitting there on the tarmac, so
Yeah.
if they all got fueled, that probably had something to do with it too. I don't know. I can ask, so I can, did you get the,
They did send that. the
did you
list.
send it to those
I have
guys?
not, no.
Yeah, they asked for that, so make sure you do that.
I think maybe we ought to line up a meeting, go out there and talk to them about specifically what they want to do, and let's just get it face to face.
Let me get this paper from Alston.
Okay.
See what you think about it, and then we'll see. I think that'll be the time to do it right after that. Because hopefully that's gonna say what we've been trying to say all along.
Got a timesheet here for Nancy King, 30 hours at the law library.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye. you guys get Tiffany Baldwin's proposal? She's coming in here at 9:30.
Do we get it?
Dawn's here. Did you get that?
I don't, I'm trying not to pay attention to it. That ain't enough. I've seen that number. Sorry, I'm talking to myself.
As a matter of fact, you are.
Forgot about one line. The last Thursday, there was a solid waste meeting in Washington Courthouse. I missed it, because I usually go to that. I had it on my calendar for the 18th, which is tomorrow.
Oh, he went, Jack went,
Oh,
There you
go.
I went.
They called looking for you.
they did.
Yeah. Well, when I got your text message or whatever you sent out, it was a little late for me to
Yeah.
try to head
To
towards
even
the
try to
courthouse.
get there, that's what she called it like 10:06, and I was like, well, maybe one of them is
Yeah,
on their way.
About 10:08, yeah, I was late,
Yeah.
so.
That's all right.
So I usually go to them, so. So I was in Washington Courthouse on Tuesday at one of their Japanese restaurant. And I said to my wife, and I said, hey, I got a meeting up here next Tuesday. And she said, okay.
You can still go.
And I put it on the
When did you
calendar.
guys start that new
Instead of the 13th, I
entrance?
put it as the 18th.
Just last week.
Oh my gosh, I'm like, is it not open till now?
Big sign out on the door.
I didn't read it.
No, I'm calling criminals.
I didn't.
That's right.
But I guess it's good, I mean, it makes
Okay.
sense,
Well,
right?
there's been some threats and stuff over
Oh,
property taxes and things
Oh,
like
really?
that. So other elected officials asked if we could move it all to the center, so that's why.
well, that makes sense,
Yeah.
for sure.
We don't want anybody getting killed over a property tax.
But I guess that's what happens when I don't read sign.
I know, I was doing the same thing.
Were you?
Well,
Am I push, pull, which way does it go?
there's an alarm on the inside of the door that says, you know, if you go out, because it's easy to just turn the handle and go out, that the alarm will go off.
Oh.
It's gone off quite a few times already because people don't see the sign that says if you open the door, the alarm's gonna go off.
So then which way do we exit?
You go back out the same way, or you can go down the back stair.
I didn't know you were back stairs.
Yeah. We'll put you in the alley in the parking lot in the back here.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know.
Just can't let
All right.
anybody in while you're going out. They got cameras.
I
that come and
promise.
get you.
Don't block the door.
We had an employee bring their husband in one morning, and they came and got her.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, you can't bring, if you're coming in, you work here, you just go in the back door, because we all have keys. But if you're bringing anybody else, then you need to come around.
Gotcha.
Pretty
Interesting.
serious about it.
Okay. I'd say so.
Mhm.
We got 8 minutes, just in case the press shows up, so. Watch the ticket.
I can go ahead and give you all a copy of this while we're waiting.
Oh.
If you don't mind. Is that the,
What's that, 2030?
yeah.
Oh,
Is that this here?
no, he's giving me something different.
I just wanted to give this to all of you for visibility, if you're interested in reading. This is our 2030 strategic plan that we just completed. You want a copy? Yeah, please. So that really just defines our vision between now and 2030 and serves as a roadmap for our organization.
It's called Hot Flash. And I'll get that one. I'm sure you have it, but I wrote those numbers down in case they want budget. Annual.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Semantics.
Did you ever get it?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what they did.
It's here and gone.
Christmas lights.
Is the Christmas tree lighting this Friday? Is that-
Yes.
Is the Christmas tree lighting, is that this Friday or?
Yes.
Next Friday?
This Friday.
This Friday at 6
Black
o'clock.
Friday.
Yeah, it all starts.
Having an open house downtown next week?
Yep, the Christmas lights go off this weekend, this Friday night at the same time, so yeah. It all happens. It's a magical weekend. Get your checkbook ready, right?
How many additions do we have to the lights this year?
There's 300,000 this year. I don't know how many that is an increase from last year, but it's an increase.
I mean, they added the
300,000
tree.
lights, huh?
300,000.
Yeah. So that's in the park, and then obviously, what was their tree this year? 30,000 or something like that? They
38.
just- 38?
38.
And then downtown.
Tried to get them to buy one for us.
That would be nice then.
Didn't happen.
Didn't
They said they
work.
won't do anything downtown. They only do it in the park.
They do.
Yeah.
So that's primarily with the shelter houses.
No, all, on Enderlin Circle, like by the, I mean, and this year they had to kind of condense it a bit because of the construction. So it's really just like where the water, you know, the pond.
That was my
lake.
point, is how is the construction interfering with this?
Yeah, like they had something at the Cannon, which they can't do this year because of the fencing. And the Santa house used to be, you know, kind of back by the playground area, which they had to move that, so he's not over there anymore. So they had to move a couple
But
things.
they do the armory.
They had music from the Armory last year.
Are they like green
They
wreaths
do-
or something?
Yeah, they do some minimal decorations over there.
You're gonna have the pavilion after next year.
Yeah,
Next
and
year
the
you will have
amphitheater.
the pavilion.
Yeah.
And the visitor center.
Yes,
So
yes,
that needs to go in the future plans too.
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah,
And whatever you would wanna do with the amphitheater.
yes.
But we were able this year, so last year, as far as downtown goes, we were able to extend the lights up to the intersection of Peyton, Main. And this year, we were able to go both directions on Second Street. And so that's kind of the plan, is every year add little by little.
Yeah.
So, we're getting there.
We're gonna have to get a nuclear reactor to handle it. I think they're gonna be building those down at Pike, so.
Yeah.
Portable ones.
Yeah.
How's that, Water Street parking impacting the total capacity of parking spaces?
It's
You're
adding
going from-
27,
Adding 27?
Mhm.
Okay.
and they've created more handicap parking spaces on Water Street also. And I think the striping's gonna happen like today, tomorrow, Wednesday, or something like that in the letter.
This was done sometime this week.
Is it? Okay, yeah.
Weather permitting.
Yeah, right? Today's a good day to do it.
Tomorrow's supposed to rain.
And I think they were adding permanent trolley stops also.
Yes.
Got 2 more minutes.
Hey, Carl.
Hi. Sorry, I gave you wrong instructions. I didn't know you had to come through the center doors.
Oh, no, I knew that, 'cause I knew we had to go
Okay.
through the security
Okay.
things.
So I said, I gave you wrong instructions.
After I went through that, I was like,
I just was texting Jerry about these Kenworth t-shirts, setting them up, you know, before Friday or whatever. He
Yeah.
said, come on down. I said, I gotta go set them up. Okay. Yeah, thank you for doing that.
yeah, it's fine. Hopefully we can offload some. I mean,
Yeah.
people are getting there and stuff. I just feel like, can't hurt.
Right. Yeah, so that'll be nice for sure.
I need to make sure that they're supposed to decorate the outside of the store.
Oh, are they?
I mean, like, there's still like pumpkin and stuff up. And I was like, you guys gonna take that down.
Well,
You have to have it done to that?
So I can have a picture.
Do you need us to send a picture?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I'm parked over there, so I'll go in and. He's might have Jessica at the store. Yeah, I'm sure do.
Yeah.
I put those pumpkins and stuff out
Did you?
for the fall. I'll see curiosity. Looks like
Yeah, I hope the rain goes away.
I just looked this morning and it's like 85%, like at like 6 p.m.
Oh.
All right, it is 9:30, the floor is yours.
Okay, so Downtown Chillicothe is here today. Thank you for putting us on your agenda. I'm Tiffany Baldwin, the program manager. This is Ben Daughters, the president of the organization. This is Cara DePue, who's the vice president, who's our incoming president for next year. So we wanted to present to you our case and the importance of downtown Chillicothe and what it means to our community and to our businesses. And you know, just not the downtown, but we're part of our community. We're what brings people to our area, businesses. We're an economic driver. We're here to promote our businesses. We're here to bring people to our community to see how wonderful it is. And so we're asking for some leverage to continue our organization and our ideas. And as Ben had presented to you, we have a plan set in motion for 2030, yes, how to grow our organization to make things better. And we've come a long way since we started in 2018. And I know I've presented to you all a couple of times, so you've kind of seen our progress. But we do have more that we can provide other than what is in front of you, because I know that you also have the sheet that we emailed to you, kind of asking our request and giving you our justification. So that's kind of why we're here today. So I don't know if based upon what you've read, if you have any questions for us, if you'd like for us to expand on anything, maybe you don't quite understand what we do, and we can obviously give you more insight on downtown Chillicothe.
Yeah, I think we're pretty familiar with what you do because it's evident every day. I mean, you guys do a tremendous job, and we're so appreciative of that. The only thing I'll say is that typically when people come and ask us for taxpayer funds, which this would be, we need to know what that's buying, what that's going for. So we better understand the justification for it, and the taxpayers understand the justification for it. And you kind of requested a certain amount, but it's kind of not specific as to what it would buy. So I'd like some clarification on what this request would buy.
Okay. So as a whole, it goes obviously to the entire organization. So last week we met as a board, as an executive board, and came up with our 2026 budget for the year. So last year's budget, we had a net budgeted amount of $11,000. This year we have a net budgeted amount of profit for $3,000. So what we do is when we bring in our money, obviously money comes from donations, it comes from our events, it comes from grants, it comes from different items like that. So each year as we try to expand what we do, our footprint, and make things more inviting to the community, make things easier for people to access our businesses, you know, whether it's through a kiosk that's in front of the courthouse, which you guys are very familiar with, or through wayfinding signs or different things like that. We need more budgeted money to have those things in our downtown, to provide those things in our downtown.
Those things you've already got. I mean,
right, but I mean, moving forward, we're going to add more.
percent.
Yes, we want to continue to add more. We don't want to stay stagnant. So every growing historic downtown, you know, when you go to a community, for instance, I seek out historic downtowns, quaint downtowns, because that is the place to be. I love the feel. I love the people, just everything. And so I want our communities to be like that. When people come to Chillicothe, I want them to seek out downtown Chillicothe, our historic downtown. But we have to continue to stay, I don't want to say on the up and up, but I mean, this is what people look for. They search whether it's a interactive alley or whether it's a Chillicothe sign so they can take selfies in front of. Believe it or not, these are things that people 20, 30, I mean, even teens, they search for these, they Google this. And so they go to communities for this. And when they're in the community, they're taking all these selfies or whatever and all these social media posts, because that's the way everything's tending to go right now with social media. So we want to continue that aspect of it to drive people to our community. But we also want them to realize that we have businesses and investors coming into this community that believe in what we do. So we have to continue to grow what we do. The $50,000 request is going to help that. I guess I'm going to go ahead and mention Luke, I don't know if you want to talk about that. When we had met with the city for the potential expansion of.
Well, yeah, so some of the things that specifically the money will help to supplement is, a couple minutes ago we talked about Christmas lights. So that is a cost this year that our organization funded, that was about $12,000 to fund the Christmas lights in the downtown. Another big thing that our organization funds directly is the downtown flowers. That's about a $17,000 project every year that we fund. Other things that we are actively pursuing in 2026 is mural restoration projects downtown. Some of those things are, for example, there's a historic mill pouch mural in the downtown. There's other murals in the downtown that are in decay and need financial support to help the restoration and preservation of those things. And then there's also alley improvement projects that we're looking at specifically on Paint Street between Grandpa Joe's and what's the auction?
Stanley.
If you're familiar with the opposite side between Levita's and High Five Cakes, we added increased lighting. We increased some of the aesthetics with the intention of those things help to increase the feeling of pedestrian safety and that sort of thing in the downtown. So we're looking at expanding that on the opposite side of the street in that alley also. So those are all specific things that are on the docket for 2026. And again, up from 2018 until now, our organization has been able to incrementally increase the funding of these things, but it's been done primarily through our own fundraising efforts. Events like Sand in the Streets, Brewfest, Rudolph Run, which we have coming up in a couple weeks. So events like that. So we're at a point, I think what Tiffany's trying to articulate is that we're at a point where hopefully we've demonstrated to the community where we have created momentum through our own energy, and now we feel like we're at a point where not only have we hopefully proved our relevance to the community, but also we're at a point where now we feel like we can incrementally start to expand what we're doing if we can get some additional funding sources from outside of our own fundraising efforts.
Well, these examples help. That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
So that's
I gave you a more broad answer, sorry.
Where'd you come up with the figure of $50,000? You just pick it out of the sky, or? I mean, that, because I read this and it says that the city's put in $25,000, but you asked the county to put in $50,000. You just,
So
do you burn this $50,000 up? If we give this $50,000 and you want it annually, let me think about what I'm going to say here. What could you find? You want it annually. What, other than what you mentioned, what else will you do with this $50,000?
So a big piece, and this is what Tiffany started to allude to, with the ACGP happening in the park and the amphitheater specifically, we have had some preliminary conversations with the city of how do we make sure that a community amenity like that doesn't just go sitting there. In order for that to happen, there has to be deliberate programming that is allocated for that space. And we're really looking at that amphitheater specifically as something that ties the downtown to the park and really is that connector, that bridge. So one of the things that likely will fall on Downtown Chillicothe's lap is figuring out how do we create the programming for the amphitheater, stuff that's done on not just a quarterly basis, but really on a weekly basis. So in order for us to be able to do that, we've got one paid person in our organization. There's the very high likelihood that we're going to have to increase the staffing within our organization to be able to support increased growth, increased economic development, programming in the amphitheater, that sort of thing. So I think we're maybe getting ahead of ourselves to say that this would be a potential annual thing. But those are, when you read into that 2030 plan, these are all things that we're trying to think about now and how do we potentially position ourselves for the future.
Very good answer. I did like that.
You know, I think another thing here too is that we got tree maintenance, sidewalk maintenance. And I think we need to, this is me with my old mayor hat on, but we need to start thinking about residential growth in downtown, at the upper floors. And where's that parking gonna come from? And,
Yep.
and this and that. There's viable expenses that need to be addressed going forward. You know, we could sit here and argue, is it us or is it the city, but I'd like to think it's both of us. And just to make Chillicothe far better than I ever dreamt it could be. I mean, what's happened since I left office has just been amazing. And it's a whole lot better than I ever thought it was going to be. So hats off to you guys and the city officials and everybody that's behind that. But I think there's still a next phase. And I think that we should prepare ourselves for that. I'm not giving you an answer right now because the three of us have to talk and come to an agreement, but I'd like to see big thought like that.
And part of that is in our 2030 plan, as far as dwelling up above. That's on our goal as well. So just to kind of add a little bit further, we do have a lot of new investors coming in our downtown, specifically younger investors, and they've got this mindset that as they remedy and rehab these buildings on the lower level, they're also making upper level dwelling. I mean, that's definitely increased over the last couple of years. So that's great to see that we have these people coming in with this mindset because we do want to make our downtown a walkable downtown. I mean, that's one of the things we talk about all the time, and you do that by increasing your residential footprint up above, you know, our retail and businesses on the bottom. So to your point, yes, it is great to see that, but it's great to see these new investors coming in. Why are they coming in? Because it's a great downtown.
We'll take all we can get.
Absolutely.
A couple things I'd like to say. First, I'd echo what Jack started with. You guys do a tremendous job in the work that you do. I'm glad to be a part of your board on both the general board and the Economic Vitality Committee. I don't get to attend every single one of those, but I enjoy staying involved and got to attend over the years a lot of the different events that are put on that I think do a very good job promoting downtown. I look at the 2030 strategic plan, and I love what I see from the standpoint of a local nonprofit organization actually engaging in strategic planning. I'm familiar with the plan because of my role on board. I know it's an ambitious plan, but it's a starting place, and it envisions some strong things I think that your organization will be well positioned to impact. And I think that you all, I see at least, as an enhancement to some of the efforts that we already are engaged in. I think, of course, from from a tourism standpoint. I know you're engaged closely with the CVB and CFA. I think we've talked a lot, obviously, this year about economic development. And there is a place where downtown fits within that. I think our place from an economic development standpoint is we focus on base economic growth, because base economic growth promotes and supports a healthy and vital downtown. If you don't have jobs and folks with extra money in their pockets, they're not going to come downtown to enjoy the shops and to enjoy the restaurants there. I think with, when we think about that this year and what we've gone through related to the paper mill, I don't think that we've fully felt the pain of that yet. I think we're going to continue. Of course, I think that the scenario could be worse in the sense that we do have someone using that site productively, but that's still ambiguous around what that looks like and what the impact is. So we're charging forward on base employment growth, and we're investing a lot of county dollars in planning, and I say that just because I think it's important that where our organization, where we consider funding towards organizations, we make sure that we should be good at making sure that there's alignment and knowledge of where that fits specifically within an overall strategy. I think that there's other opportunities as well for us to be really good partners with you in the sense of thinking about things that are hang-ups for you guys, that the county could play a role in clearing the way for more efficient bureaucratic engagement, I guess I would say. We have a relationship with our building department, has a relationship with the city's building department, and those things can impact what Jack mentioned, which relates to residential growth and utilizing floor space in the downtown. I thought of creative things that in this first year I haven't got to engage with these guys or any of you on, but it could be really cool to do a sales tax holiday of some sort here in the downtown to help promote and enhance the work that you're doing. I think that there's probably merit in considering some form of support for your organization. I think $50,000 is kind of a number that can be a starting place that we'll have to analyze to see where that fits within a budget, and more, I would say, what is the appropriate place that we play within that, and what does that look like? I'm not saying that we will or we won't. I'm just saying we've got to have that conversation. I think it merits consideration. But I'm excited about what's happening in the downtown, and I think that you are a huge part of promoting that and bringing people in to enjoy it. Bringing people in from all over the county and elsewhere to enjoy it. I don't live in the city, but I'm in the city twice a week, and all of the things that you guys are working on are, I think, enhancing the experience for people who are coming to enjoy the downtown. I look at the things that you guys have already played a big role in your advocacy to the city around improving parking enforcement. 2 of the 3 of us have gotten a parking ticket in the last couple months, but I think that is an important thing that no one else is looking at, because it's like you're not speaking just from your standpoint of organization, but really the folks who are the stakeholders of the downtown who make up your organization. So I think we have some discussions to have, and we're in the middle of putting together what I think is going to be, we're going to have decisions that we have to make during the budget process, but we'll definitely consider it and think about how we can continue to engage with you and enhance the work you're doing, as we also drive ourselves for a focus on base economic development, because jobs equal success in the downtown, I really believe. So that's my piece.
Anything to add?
I don't have anything to add.
Okay. We'll
Thank you.
talk about it and we'll get back to you.
All right,
Thank you for
thank you.
your
Thanks
time.
for
Okay,
coming in.
thank
We
you.
appreciate you.
Have a good day, have a good week. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, oh yeah, you too.
Good time.
I don't know if I need it.
Yeah, but did you have any interesting board meetings last week or anything?
No, Mr. One, Mr.
Well, they did their budget thingy and everything, and we approved the budget. There was every county was represented.
Right. Look, see, I usually go to these, and I know I had on, I'm trying to work my calendar out, and I put it down for the 18th at 10 o'clock. And I'm thinking, okay, and like I said, I was went to Washington Courthouse to get something to eat, or what, so I got a meeting up here next Tuesday. Okay.
It said that they were putting a new gate system in at the Ross County Recycling Center. $22,500.
Where?
Is it just out the Rumpke?
Oh, at Rumpke?
Yeah.
That's where the recycling place is gonna be.
They're gonna put it in? They've decided they were going to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. When did they start that?
It's sometime 2026. But they also talked about improving the lighting there too.
So
Very nice.
I figured I'd see you today, so that's the reason I didn't call back anymore.
Yeah, and I've been.
They should have learned their lesson on the gate.
Apologize for not being able to get back.
We did the one in Fayette County, in Washington Courthouse. Because that gate never held up, and we ended up having to spend money
Had a lot of work done on that gate.
on that gate, yeah.
Was that a cantilever gate or was that a?
It was.
I think there was an initial
it was a
issue
slide.
from installation.
Yeah, it was a sliding gate.
Yeah.
I do apologize.
There was an
Hi,
installation
sir, how are you?
issue.
Doing good.
They rest-
Jack, how are you?
Trying to see what we can do.
Mr. Love?
How we doing, sir?
Good to see you, man.
Oh,
Good to see you. You doing okay?
as always.
Monday?
There's
Yeah.
a big part of that, so like all the institutional knowledge is involved. You know, there were all the moratoriums. Hey, because of COVID.
Doing good. How you doing?
But I started this.
Did you
approach that.
Your what?
I got financial.
Yeah, that's a big company too. And
Yeah.
I guess, the Amish store in Frankfurt
Hopefully.
donated some news.
Put the stuff in here on the news, buddy.
So that was a good.
That
was a good event.
Well, I hope
Yeah.
that some of these.
Yeah, they've had a couple this year that we were surprised
Process
to
keeps
turn
moving forward, so it becomes
Crap.
more of an everyday thing, or it's not an issue
Trump
that goes back and
They filled up, people were parked there,
Yeah.
I just went around.
all around us to do that.
Good deal. And I know some of these houses have.
Crew will do that
no
again.
access. But the village is supposed to be trying to institute a nuisance ordinance for their.
We gotta
There's about half
watch
a dozen
tires.
houses in this village that need to get.
But, Excel not using that for
They're
their
rat traps.
slurry to heat the place, or the boiler.
I kinda
They burn
figured as
tires.
much.
Part of the mix.
How many you think?
Hopefully they'll-
I have no idea, because they sent them up to Grove City to get chopped up, and then they brought them back down here,
Well, one thing about it, once you get
threw them in the slop.
procedure ingrained,
It's fuel.
hopefully it'd be more.
Depending on the
Easy
amount, the
thing to do.
EPA can remove
Yeah.
them from the site. We could look into that.
Well, we have ironed out a lot.
I know people would ship their tires up there and have them chopped up and then
Hopefully-
sell them to
Hopefully at this
sell
point.
for that fuel.
got
But that's no longer
everything
being used over there. that might be a rise in the amount of tires laying around the county.
I had to get out and pick up a vehicle on my down.
We'll have to get some other tire drives or something like that, and they talked about that.
Two houses down there.
Having more tire drives.
They just vacant. They look like they've been vacant for years because when you got this much grass in the driveway, there, we want that.
CCAO, I was buzzing with the
The
JDC.
housing market being like that, I don't understand how these things end up sitting vacant.
I didn't see.
You didn't bring it up, did you? Okay.
Yeah.
She's still mad at, or everybody now mad at? Of course, it's,
Well, 5 counties where the commissioners are. But, yeah, you got a little red face, I told him that I was where to talk to him.
Yep.
I was just in one of those.
So
meetings.
you guys been responsible for half a dozen of things other than this in addition to.
Yeah, that's one of the compounding factors. And it's the case with the land bank. Nobody
Probably
does.
discuss the board meetings we got to, just what's going on, so all three of us, and what's
It
happening.
has to been able to get to the building up
Day
there.
or one or two.
It'd be just one person to get their hands on it. Hopefully. There's lots of opportunities around here.
Well, I got DVC tomorrow.
I wish I had.
18th, yeah.
Any money to invest council.
Guess you guys got planning review.
Yeah, we just.
is that tomorrow?
Well, that's like that one that was tied this year, here on Western Avenue. I'm surprised nobody bid on it. I couldn't believe it. It really kind of irritated me. Nobody bid on it. The county property owner.
I'm trying to figure my calendar out.
What do they think, land bank's gonna give them a better deal than if they buy themselves? I don't understand.
This is some of our suspect that.
You want a warrant?
Yeah, that one did.
Because it was vacant ground, if it was dirty.
Yeah, right.
That's a gift.
That's what I'm, especially for a spot like that.
1 o'clock.
1
o'clock.
Yeah, it's got
Yeah, they
good
moved it up a
frontage.
week.
Doesn't make a lot of sense. to
She said
me.
the last Wednesday of the month.
That's about as.
They moved it up because Thanksgiving. That makes no difference. We're
Well,
all working together. Thanksgiving's on Thursday.
it's thrown in your lap.
The day before.
I appreciate your help.
I got an OVRDC meeting on Thursday, and then I got seeing Jody out at the senior center that morning.
Thursday. Thanksgiving?
No, this week.
Oh,
And we having a work session Friday.
I have time,
You what?
I have time.
You got good 12, 10 to 1.
10 to 12, 10 to 1, something like that. Okay.
So I'm gonna go through where we're at with the budgets and try to get a holistic look of revenue versus expense. And then we have to make changes on VIP to the budgets that we're reducing certain line items by. So I've got all that written down. That'll be a pretty easy process. Is Luke coming over this morning?
He was with Tricia like 10 minutes ago, so I'm sure they're walking here now.
Yeah. Well, he's got a map. So if he's late, when he walks in the door, somebody says, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
How you doing? It's, I don't know if the guys live there or not. It's on Clinton Road. And it's right at the corner of Clinton Road. It's been a hot topic of concern from Calvin's standpoint and township call. It's a very sore thing right in the middle of a bunch of cool neighborhood. And I'll try to get some better information about it. Where, you know, I tried to track where the guy is. I've known him for a long time. And he moved his appointment from up here to Piketon. He's a deputy. I was a deputy here. I was a Boston job for what, but he's down there. But the house has been this like that. I mean, it was never great, and now it's pretty.
Fellas, good morning.
Yeah, give me the details and see what's going on with them. I don't know what you can just reach out. Some letters and
Most of the time I just file a lawsuit to try to sue.
okay.
If we have if there's a way of resolving stuff before that.
It's been clean.
Yeah, it's much less effort to get the same. That's the way to do it.
Right.
But yeah, if you could give me information on that.
Okay. Yeah, that's one I just didn't get. I've been kind of waiting now to see if something else will materialize. I don't think it's behind on this property.
Yeah, that's kind of the main tool that the county has in this situation. I mean, there's the nuisance process through the health district and through the township. A lot of times the townships are hesitant to go the nuisance route for reasons that don't take all that much to understand.
Right.
But
Yeah, because we take on all the time, it's gonna take, and wait forever or never to see the return of it.
and in the meantime, you're making all of your constituents angry.
Right. Okay.
What's going on, man? Awesome. Oh, yeah. You know, we got to tuck the river report here. I mean, this is awesome.
Yeah, one of my brothers goes down there often, I haven't been down there.
Dude, we got to go. He's one of the 300 crime days.
Yeah, that's what they tell me. They go down and they'll camp like you do. And then sometimes they'll stay a few places right here.
Oh, this tons of kids out there. Little restaurant. It's great hiking. Rock climbing they have there too. It's not my case.
No, forward now. Better not be done.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
My younger son,
Perfect this weekend for it too.
my son would love it, but it's not us. Who's up there?
Yes, well, my favorite one.
Is it your bag?
I said with hard and stuff, it's just kind of cool with all the heaters. It's like 10, weighs 1 pound kilos. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And that thing, honestly, average, which weighs barely more than a pound.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so you get on the heater, you skip the door.
The rice was green family, and he's in this with it. He's going to take us out in some of these. He said, you gotta buy this. He gave us all this.
Yeah.
And we've got all the stuff on. Shawnee.
Oh, dude, that's some good hiking. It's a tough hiker. Yeah.
And he was like, I think we should go down there.
All right, is there any other business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Perfect. Good move.
Oh, that's okay. You have copies.
I printed mine.
Oh, great. Talk about today.
Who's feeling left out here,
Yeah, it's okay.
even though he's a
Get him
guest?
a copy.
Oh,
I'm just a
yeah.
guest.
You're very-
No.
I'm just a guest.
Just following along at home. All right, now that the guests have received their,
I don't think that's what we're.
I'll call the meeting to order. You should have in front of you a copy of the September 22nd meeting minutes. A chance to review those. Now I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Got a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Got a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right. Auditor spending and treasurer's report, folks.
You should have received a copy of the bank reconciliation in your email, but the balance at the end of October of the land bank was $41,941.72.
We will also be going over the 26 proposed budget today, which shows some more specification of what some of the expenses and revenue are. Any question for Crystal on her treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to approve the report.
Motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. All right, we're gonna dive right into old business. Tricia, do you want to take over A there?
Yeah, we've been working through our demo and brownfield grants. We received our grant agreement, I think back in June officially, so we've been working on pushing everything through really since then. And we have done the asbestos surveys and gotten those reports back and any remediation that needs to be done there. We should have 16 properties demolished by the end of this month, and that's within the city and throughout the county. And then we've got about 6 properties that we need to withdraw from the list. Those property owners have either pulled permits and are working towards bringing those properties back up to proper standard, or they've changed hands and the new property owner does not wish to demolish. So looking for a handful of properties to put in as replacements. And then, any questions about that one?
So basically, if somebody has a property that is abandoned and blighted, and there's control over, we can still replace them
Yes.
in this existing grant.
In the existing grant.
I have two that you guys can add to the list
Okay,
when we get done.
you've already got them written down, you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll get with you before I
I
leave.
talked to the owners and everything, so.
Great.
Cool, okay.
That's the best case scenario. Thank you.
And then I think Jen's here to talk about our brownfield grant.
Yeah, so we will be actually starting our excavation work tomorrow at the CSX parcel. Probably pulling out about 3,000 cubic yards out of the ground for disposal, bringing in clean fill. Doing a revised remedy on that property for restricted residential. So just making it cleaner. They had done some remediation work in the past, years and years ago. So we're just making it a little bit more flexible in its end use. The excavation is not going to take that long, probably 9-10 days. And then you won't see any more activity out there because we'll be pushing a lot of paper. We'll be resurveying the parcel to identify the bounds of the restricted remedy. It won't change, it won't add new parcels, is my understanding, but it's just, it has to be filed with legal description, describing the restrictions on the use and that kind of thing, just all those details for the future user. I think we are going to do an extension of the grant just to make sure that we get through that paperwork because Ohio EPA is involved and they'll need to do the final approval, but we've been consulting with them along the way. So they are in agreement with our remedial action approach to the property. So we don't expect that to take too awfully long, but you never know. We're coming up on the holidays. So but yeah, we'll be ready to go in the spring with whatever you guys are going to do with that property.
Good, thank you.
All right, that was A and B. Gabriel, do you have any updates on C?
Just the normal stuff. It's been a maddeningly slow process of getting a lot of these final aspects of these auction transactions finalized and recorded and everything like that. I did speak with Mr. Schul shortly before the meeting started, and I appreciate his patience with all of this. There's just been a lot of kinks to iron out between getting the final entries submitted to the court signing them, and then after we get them back, we realize there are some problems with the numbers, and so we have to amend them and stuff like that. Hopefully, we have figured out the kink in that, and that these will be smoother going forward. So otherwise, there was another round of auctions. I believe Tricia and I discussed this a little bit at least. 626 Glencroft and I believe 425 North High both failed to sell after 2 auctions. So we will be filing a motion for forfeiture on that. The Land Bank has filed a petition for forfeiture on 370 McKellar and 0 Western Avenue, if I recall correctly. So we'll be getting the entries submitted to the court for those to forfeit. Otherwise, I've developed this really bad habit, and sometimes I categorize these files according to address, and other times I do it by owner name, and so I'm thoroughly confusing myself with everything. But we should have another round of foreclosure filings to be filing fairly soon. So things are moving slower than we thought they would be, but they are moving. And so I guess the process is continuing. I do see that 11487 Route 50 is on, was specifically delineated on the list. That's one, we would like to be able to transfer that for an administrative foreclosure once everything is up and running for that. In the meantime, the judicial foreclosure has been proceeding. We are currently publishing to get service of process on that. Service should be complete, I believe, in mid-December, and then we can move for default judgment, and then hopefully get that property taken care of. We did have a couple of sales in the past couple of weeks. Potentially valuable property on Payne Street, but that one sold. So it's not really a land bank matter, but it is some good progress on that. The owner is a person with, let's just say, she has a bit of a controversial past, and I want to get that finalized and transferred and recorded sooner rather than later to try to forestall any potential challenge that might be lurking from this particular individual. Other than that, I think that brings us up to speed on where my office is.
Great, thank you. And so just to clarify on the ones that go for auction and then they don't sell twice, the land bank has the ability to say, or at some point your office publishes and says any one of these entities can sort of claim it?
Yeah, we file a motion for forfeiture, and then the court notifies certain political subdivisions that can take them, the school district, the land bank, the municipality, the county in certain instances. And then if there's an interest in the property forfeiting to that entity, then they petition the court to have it forfeit to them. And if nobody has any interest, then it ultimately forfeits to the state by way of the county and goes on the forfeited land list, and the county can dispose of it through various means. That being, I'm glad you mentioned that, because Tricia and I spoke about this before, because given the state of how things are in Ross County, it does seem like the land bank would be the best body to be doing that, as opposed to the county or possibly even a city, just for the reasons why the land bank exists. There is a possibility, of course, of the county and the land bank kind of working at cross purposes, which then, of course, puts the prosecutor's office in a bit of a bind. But it certainly is my recommendation that if there is a property that is desired, that it's probably the land bank that's the better body to be receiving it. That's just my own personal suggestion.
I agree. Thank you.
Do we, just I guess maybe a general discussion on that, when those properties become available, does the board want me to go ahead and move forward with filing those petitions for the land bank to accept any of those properties, or would you like this to go through the board to decide before we file a petition?
Yeah, let's just add that to new business.
Okay.
The court will send the notice to the land bank. Do you think it's, I remember the city getting it before. We just need to make sure that the court knows how to get correspondence to us, I guess, but. Okay, and so petitions on 0 and 370 were considered in that report, right?
Yes, the land bank did return petitions for those two properties.
Right, meaning we are claiming them.
Yes.
Right, okay. So we'll talk about these petitions at the end of new business as well. Any other questions or conversations for Gabriel, otherwise on old business? All right, let's get into new business. So you've got the draft 26 budget in front of you. The revenue, well, I'll start with DTAC. So DTAC next year will be the first year we're projecting significant revenue on DTAC that was approved a couple of years ago from the county. Property sales is a just sort of placeholder number. I think this year we have one sale for $1,000. But as you'll see, also in new business, we'll discuss some other sales. The building demo and revitalization grant 480 is a breakout of the remaining money from the last grant cycle, which will be spent approximately over the next 6 months, and the new award, which is $230,000 for the new cycle year. So it's a split out of those two things, 250 and 230. And then the brownfield remediation grant is the new award that we will get if we max out our award. We have until December, the application deadline is December 5th. We have a set aside of $1 million. If we don't ask for $1 million, we're not getting $1 million. We'll get what we ask for, up to $1 million. We have not, back to Jen's report, we have not spent everything on our previous brownfield remediation grant award. But in reality, this estimated revenue of the $1 million is also a blend of this year's existing grant and the next grant, which will be awarded, but probably, well, potentially not all spent in 26. It's a 2-year cycle. So those are your revenue projections. And then the audit and insurance are based on previous years. Grant management is essentially operations pull down, and this is money that accounts for, is basically Tricia and Seth's time, and it's basically made up of a percentage of brownfield remediation, building demo and revitalization, and DTAC. So it's paying city in particular back for time. Accounting software was also budgeted in 25. This is QuickBooks. This is something Crystal's going to get to make the accounting transition from, I think, just a spreadsheet to actual QuickBooks. And then property expense is our operations. A lot of this, so the acquisition itself is oftentimes permissible under the grant agreements. Demolition also fraction or proportion of the building demo revitalization grant. Environmental services will be a part of the brownfield remediation grant. Legal fees. So I think you'll recall we had a conversation over the past year about who represents the land bank. The county prosecutors represents the county commissioners and other county officers. We had a conversation with the county prosecutor and with Jeff Harris at Bricker Graydon, and kind of went through the pros and cons of the prosecutor representing the land bank versus private counsel. After conversation with both the prosecutor and Jeff Harris at Bricker Graydon, it seems like the trend is for land banks to hire private counsel. Takes a lot off the prosecutor's plate. It's not defined in statute that the prosecutor would represent the land bank anyway, and there are some moments where conflict potentially arise. And so we have retained Jeff Harris from Bricker Graydon, who's done some work for us already, drafting a MOU, that sort of thing. And so that's a placeholder for potential legal fees with him and or closing costs and that sort of thing, related to title search, et cetera. Maintenance and mowing of existing properties that we own, post-demo cleanup, that sort of thing, and any costs related to mortgages.
The legal fees line item, is that an appropriate or accurate capture of what would be those costs, how likely to be?
I think so. I think, you know, we had him draft an MOU this year. What I would say is this is probably a safe number for general counsel, whatever. And if we come into, oh, we got a problem, we come back to the board and say, we need 10 grand more or something like this. But this is going to be enough for open line of communication, emails, anything non-specific. And if something specific comes along, we need a new agreement. We need then I think we agree as a group, let's put some more money into it and tackle it. Because you're right, this will go fast. Good question. Any other questions on the budget? If there's no more questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2026 budget.
So moved.
Have a second? Second. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Thank you. 369 Neal, do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, so this was a property that the Habitat for Humanity had an option to purchase for. It has expired, and we're interested if the board would like to place that back on the market for sale, or what we'd like to do with that property, I guess. Per policy and procedure for the land bank, the pricing would go for the auditor's land value plus 500 for administrative fees, and then any title reappraisal closing fees would be paid by the purchaser in addition to the sale price. That's what's set forth in the policy. So the current land value of that property is $5,790. It is vacant and not currently on the market. So I wanted to put that before the board.
Is this one a neighbor was interested in?
Yes, Lori Wallace has been keeping a close eye on the property over the last couple of years. She is an adjacent neighbor who would potentially be interested in purchasing the property if the board would like to put it on the market.
Lori, would you like to speak right now?
Well, the last time I was here, when you had me come, sorry, I'm losing my voice. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in that lot. I've been wanting that lot for a long time. Probably, I think when they tore down the house in 2019, And then when it came up for sale in 2022, I did put a purchase proposal in, which at that time you guys didn't accept with the Habitat for Humanity. So I know they had to like October, I think, 31st of this year. And that's why I stayed in touch with Tricia. And like, they haven't done anything yet. What's going on? I still want that property. And I've been in the neighborhood for 25 years. I grew up in that neighborhood. My dad's right over on Maple. So it's like I'm not going anywhere. So I'm definitely interested in it.
And did you, I think you've mentioned before, but your end use for the property would be, what do you plan to use it for?
Well,
Side lot? Or-
yeah, definitely a side lot. I definitely want to put a privacy fence around it, but I don't know. I'm just like waiting to see because I have so many different things that I want to do if I'm able to purchase it and stuff.
Okay.
I make a motion that we do list it for sale, accept offers.
Second.
Sounds good. And then the, I'm trying to think about caveat for this. You submitted, we've already had a proposal from you, right?
Right, in 2022.
We don't have a meeting for 2 months, and so I just want, do we want to, with your motion, offer Tricia some ability to negotiate off of the policy price, I guess is the question, which was auditor's value plus 500?
So technically that would come to $6,290.
Okay. Just want to throw it out there so we don't have to wait.
So if we get an offer for our list price to go ahead and be able to accept it?
Well, I think that's
Or
we're all right with that. The question would be if we can come off of the list price.
Yeah.
I think is the question without a subsequent vote. And we can always call special. Why don't we just take your motion and your second as is, we'll vote on it. Tricia can list it, and if something comes up in the meantime, we can bring it back for a separate vote. All right. So we have a motion and a second to list 369 Neal per the existing policy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. So that will be listed. Okay. We have, you see on the back of your agenda, we have received a purchase offer.
Yes. Do your copies have that? The
The
purchase
back, you
offer
have a back side of the
info?
back.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So we have
Bill, go ahead.
one individual who's made an offer on 6 properties. Obviously, you can see that they're all under the list price.
Grant price.
Yeah. And we don't have, this is from, proposals from
John Wetzel.
John Wetzel. So somebody who, at least on the city side, we've known and worked with before, never sold a land bank property to before. And so we just want to post this for conversation. I think that with the mission of the land bank being to get new housing stock back in the marketplace, my initial reaction, following on the heels of Habitat having a property for a year, not doing anything with it, and giving it back, which is fine. My initial reaction would be not to bundle all of these. It'd be to sort of do a test run and say, build one. There might be economies of scale to do multiple houses at the same time, but that's my initial reaction to seeing an offer for 6 at the same time. But we can there's an option on the last property. We can put in terms of a building. Was there further conversation around the future use?
End use for all of the offers were listed as undecided.
Okay.
How long have these properties been on the list like this?
They have been listed for at least 3 years, my time here. I'm not sure how long before that. But I would say probably now more than ever we've got, now that we've got some funds coming in and there's some potential to do some things on, especially the larger properties.
Did you say the city has worked with this individual?
Yeah, he's contract workforce and stuff like that. Nothing housing related, sidewalks, and I was just saying he's somebody we know.
Gotcha.
John was also the assistant county engineer for years, and does have a company that is doing work all over the state right now. He's been on some of our projects. I know he has yours too, Mayor. I think he
Yeah.
did a sidewalk job for you on Orange Street or
Orange Street,
somewhere
yep,
over there.
exactly, yep. Yeah, it does,
They do
good quality construction for sure, yeah. Yeah, the hesitation is not with the buyer, it's just with end use. It might be a good, the city did receive $1.5 million in congressionally directed spending. And we've been working with HUD, trying to figure out the parameters of spending that money. I like the idea of somebody buying. I also like the idea of the end use being homes. And I think with the caveat that side lots are good. So I think it's we get some cash out of it, but I don't think we'd have any guarantee that houses will be built.
Well, I think that's what we need to, I think that's the question of this action and kind of the precedent for it moving forward is, what's the purpose of us taking on these properties? It's to eventually develop them into housing stock. And I think that's, I'm new enough to the land bank to not know what our terms of sale have been to potential purchasers. I think you're right, Mayor, that a neighbor buying a neighboring lot for a side lot is something that the land bank is open to. But doing a sale of multiple properties without some sort of terms of understanding that state what those are going to be used for, no matter who the individual is, I think we need to be thoughtful of how we approach that, because the other thing is you're purchasing them from us in this case at a below market price, and we just I think have to be cautious of how we approach that. And I don't know how we would turn together an agreement with Keith, but I think at the minimum we have to declare what our intentions would be in selling that, and hopefully say to whoever would purchase these properties, we'd like you to use these for development of some sort of housing stock.
I agree, and I think that's a fair conversation to have. I mean, we have sold 2 vacant lots. Habitat has built 2 homes. They bought 2 lots from us at a discount with the commitment of building. This third one that they gave back was an option that they didn't build on. Community Action, same thing, discounted and then renovated. So the ones that we've really, and then the other ones I think have been side lots. I don't know that we've sold any without some guarantee of building. So
I think it's fine to sell to a private owner.
Yeah.
I think that's a great outcome, just an idea of them buying it for the purpose of developing.
Yeah. So we could have a motion, or we can just have no vote on this today and have you continue the conversation. And kind of let him know we're looking for commitments on building and see if he's interested in that and go from there.
Sure.
Okay. Any further discussion on that one?
Was he the only bid?
They're just listed.
No one else has made an offer?
No, yeah, these are all with the First Capital Realty still, yeah. And maybe that's also a conversation with the realtor that we need to have, is what our expectations are, so people aren't just thinking it's just vacant lots on the
He
market.
didn't actually come through, they don't have to, I guess, go through First Capital.
Oh, okay.
He came directly.
Different,
so.
perfect, okay. Okay, D is 2 things of major focus for us right now. This week, our demolition and revitalization grant application is due. And do we need more properties for that, or we good?
Thankfully for this round, the set aside per county went down from 500,000 to 230,000. So it is decreased, but thankfully they're not asking for property specific info in order to claim our set aside. So I'm gonna go ahead and claim our 230. And we have a handful of properties, but we certainly have room for more as we prepare to enter property specific information.
So this one, for the 19th, there's no further action needed. We don't even need a vote, right?
Right.
and there's more flexibility on the demo and revitalization than we've had in the past. The brownfield, however, we need brownfield properties by the 5th.
Yes.
We probably have, we have one property identified, and so we really need to source properties for brownfield. So if we ask for $1 million worth of property, we're gonna get $1 million, but if we don't, we're giving it back to the state. So this is like a full court press, getting that information out there. If you don't know if it's a brownfield, send it to us anyway, and we'll figure that out, but major opportunity for some remediation here.
The big piece is you have to prove access, so whoever the property owner is has to sign that access.
Yeah. And we have a couple situations where people are sort of like working on deals but won't know until January and that sort of thing. That puts us in a tough position to apply for all our eggs in one basket and then not get the money on the back end. So working through that as well. So no votes needed on either of those, but we need brownfields. Any comments, questions on that?
Do we have a list anywhere of potential brownfields that we could?
No. And that's on us. I think we could do a better job with that.
Seth and I have a sort of running list, and more so really of properties that we've dealt with from the city side of things, but not a countywide list.
I think we should connect with Kevin, maybe connect with Devin and see if that's something that he's got on his radar from a county standpoint. I doubt that that's something that we have on the shelf, but there may be an idea of some properties from the countywide perspective that could be applicable. We've also talked all around, the paper mill site and what potential remediation is there. I'm doubtful that we'll have a resolution on all the requirements that you would need for access and things like that before December 5th, but we'll engage and are engaging with Senator Moreno's office as the liaison between U.S. Glove and local stakeholders for the most part. So that's something we can mention later today when we have that engagement as well. Just, hey, this is a potential opportunity that we don't know what it looks like, but we know that there's likely some remediation efforts that need to take place at that site.
And to the point of that site is the brownfield grant, there's $1 million set aside, but then after the initial funding, is there what remaining pot still available to the counties?
There is, and it's competitive, so you have to prove match at point of application. And it will be fairly competitive, for sure.
Just curious about that, because that could be larger than $1 million
yeah.
remediation, more
Yeah.
likely.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that was an opportunity there, if there is interest on their end of giving access and going for it.
Well, and there's also, the money can pay for the testing. So it might be $1 million worth of testing before any remediation starts there.
Mm-hmm.
That, in a way, just goes back to communication with them, which is not that exist.
Another opportunity might be the helmet side.
Right. Yep.
Plugging in on that.
All right, so all hands on deck for getting brownfields, or potential brownfields in front of us. Yes. Yes.
What is the criteria for the brownfield grant? The reason I'm asking is, I was at the Green Township meeting last week. They were talking about a property that I think was an old trucking terminal on Hospital Road that they would like to see something done with, but I don't know if it would meet the criteria for that. And it's a grown-up mess, I know that because I've seen it.
Yeah, I bet I know what you're talking about. Yeah, a lot of times, if nothing else, like Tricia meant, access is the main thing. If somebody gives us permission, then we can do testing, we can set aside money for meeting, that sort of thing. And that's when Tricia and I were talking about that property this morning, actually. And I don't know if anybody has you know, I don't know if the owners are, do we look at it?
They said something about they were out of the state of Michigan, that's all I
Okay.
know.
Okay.
But I don't quite understand why some of the townships haven't been more forthcoming moving forward to see what their opportunities are.
Right.
To get some of this money brought to their areas and issues taken care of.
Yeah, for sure.
Wes, maybe that's something to plug in out to the Township Trustees Association.
Well, it's just like, for instance, Greenfield or Green Township has a house on Dry Run that's going up for sale that needed to be demolished, and they never came to the land bank and tried to get anything done about it. And I've never understood that concept whatsoever. When you got public money that's available, you're supposed to help your constituents out, not sit and twiddle your thumbs.
Well said. Good job. Okay, so anything else on Brownfield? We can reach out to those trustees. It's a good opportunity. Okay, the next one is a year ago, the city, at the November meeting, the city committed $350,000 of ARPA money to the land bank for the three items you see there: home repair, affordability, and life skills. And we've worked for the past year to figure out what's the best way for the land bank to deploy that money. That narrowed to relationship with Community Action. So some of you might be familiar with Community Action. One of their main, or one of the big things that they do is weatherization. So they go to homes and they can do everything from a roof to insulation to new furnace, that sort of thing. And so this money that the city directed to the land bank, the proposal here is that the land bank would piggyback with Community Action, who's already delivering these types of things and is familiar with this type of service, and would then take the city's commitment, which became the land bank's commitment, and then roll out these projects, which would be home repair projects, home affordability projects. And then one of the things that came out of the city master plan was an emphasis on life skills. And so that would be something else, maybe budgeting for folks, that sort of thing. And so what we'd like to do here is approve an agreement with Ross County Community Action. What I would propose is that the motion say up to $350,000, because we are right in the middle of weatherization season right now. So I'd like to deploy it, see what they can get done. Maybe we do an initial round of 100,000, see how it goes with them. But the idea here would be, in the conversations we've had with them, they'll go into a home that qualifies for certain weatherization things, like a new furnace or like a new roof, but not new windows. And so with this type of money, we could put it into home repair where they get new windows with everything else that they're getting. And maybe they get a little curb appeal or fix a sidewalk and something like that as well, which directly goes into home affordability, because if your bills are going down, especially the way they've gone up recently, and then layer on a little bit of life skills. What we wanted to have today was authorization to approve the agreement, and we would, over the next 60 days, negotiate the specific terms of the MOU, and what they would carry out within that. See how it goes. It's not that Ross Community Action would be the only vendor, but they're certainly the one that is most ready to deploy work right now. Like I said, a year ago, the money was committed because it had to be committed by the end of last year because it was ARPA money. Now we've got it less than a year to spend it, basically. So we're looking for first conversation, any conversation on that, and if there's no further conversation, then a motion to approve that agreement. Any questions or comments or anything like that? What we think is possible is there's a lot of conversation around the facility that the city and the county helped them buy on Eastern Avenue. And we think a possibility with some of this money might be you know, they've got aspirations to do sort of tiny homes back there or something like that. We might be able to, and then we've got that 1.5 million in congressional directed spending that I mentioned. We might be able to figure out a way in the coming months to sort of do a mini pilot of what that would look like over there. This agreement just kind of gives us a runway to do that. So, questions, comments, anybody on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve that agreement.
So move.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
It's a pretty weak eye.
Sorry.
They're tearing buildings down. Sometimes just keeping it.
Yeah, and that is land bank demo and revitalization. Yeah. So they, you know, we have various intersections with them, both the city and the county, and a reliable organization to enter into an agreement with as well. Okay, so then I added on my notes what would be F, which is the petitions that come from following a foreclosure that does not get purchased at sheriff's sale. And the question posed to us by Tricia, and then sort of also brought up by Gabriel, is do we just, does the land bank just basically automatically say a property did not go for sale, land bank will take it? Or the opposite, or the alternative is, do we vote every time that happens? My recommendation is that we just take them, unless there's some reason that we judge to say, okay, we don't want to take this for some reason. But knowing the restrictions that the city and the county have on selling versus transfers to CIC, that sort of thing, I think Gabriel's right. The land bank is set up to do this. Prosecutor's office is starting to get moving, rolling on this rhythm of these foreclosures. This doesn't mean we're bidding on anything. It just means if it doesn't go through sale, it lands with us. The three
Lands with us at no cost, right?
at no cost, yeah, exactly. And the three that are coming through now all have houses on them, right?
Two of the three.
Two of the three have houses on them. And it puts us in a position to potentially not demolish, but to potentially renovate a home. Land bank could be in the business of purchasing, renovating, selling, purchasing, renovating, or collaborating with community action, like we did on Hickory Street, which is a transitional housing home, those sorts of things. And so I don't have any opposition to us meeting. I think it would cause more meetings and more conversation, you know, as these things come through. But my instinct would just be to say, we'll accept them as a default unless there's a reason not to. And I think we can exercise that discretion. But either way, I think we should have something in the record that says what our policy is so that Tricia knows how to react when those petitions come through.
I agree with that approach.
Okay.
Unless there's some reason where we obviously don't want to take on a property, then we should,
Right.
you
That we
know.
have a choice.
Yeah.
But I think that eliminates the need for us to meet. It eliminates some of the bureaucracy. And I like what you just said, Mayor, about renovating these properties as opposed to demolishing them. I'd be open as well to a scenario where we're renovating with a private entity.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
Of course, we have community action, but there may be opportunity to partner with
Absolutely.
a housing developer of some sort to renovate those, and then we're not so much flipping them, we're putting them back into a more modern, attractive use that can be sold to a private resident.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It would also give us a bit of an inventory if we wanted to work towards the Welcome Home Ohio grant.
Yeah.
And have some work to do with some actual properties on it. Could
Oh,
be
we
an
have
option.
another potential revenue source.
Yes.
Handle the buying and the selling of the properties. You know, I think this is a good way to get command of life.
Yep, I agree. You know, a couple of years ago, you guys probably remember this, we approached Habitat for Humanity and suggested that, you know, their model, at least our local habitat is take a blank slate and build a new home. we suggested modifying their model, and Habitat could have volunteers and renovate, you know, just, and they didn't take us up on it, but I think going that private route, not everything needs to be torn down, so I think that there is significant opportunity.
Have you ever done a Habitat House?
Yeah.
It's an orchestrated event.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so organized, it's amazing.
It's wild, yeah.
Yeah.
And I understand, because when you're starting from scratch, everything's plumb, you know, like you're not getting into, you know what you're getting into, right? Not you know, rotted bathroom floor, that sort of thing, but,
It's not like that house fell off the hill for a reason, right?
okay, so, any other discussion on that? So it sounds like, I will propose a motion that somebody can make, and that proposed motion would be that, when the land bank receives petition, no, we wouldn't receive petitions. When we receive notification from Ross County Common Police Court that there's been a foreclosure that's been offered for sale twice and no bids, that the land bank would file petitions automatically to accept those properties unless there's a reason not to, as either anybody on the board, public, or Patricia could come up with.
I'm curious as to what reasons there might be that we may not be interested. Is that something we should also define, like, you know, criteria for?
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine, like, if there's one that is, you know, like a brown field that, like, we don't know that we have the money to remediate or something like that. You know, if a brown field went through, even then, this I'm just speculating, but after the grant cycle, there's no guaranteed brownfield money. Do we want to accept something like that? We might still, but I could see that being a scenario. Or a parcel with no apparent end use, maybe we wouldn't want to take, but I don't think there'd be many, to be honest. Because even a parcel with no apparent end use, if you find a neighbor who would take it, you know, then their lot just gets.
I was going to say, in either one of those scenarios, the land bank's likely still look probably the best case. But yeah, I was just wondering, you know, for her purposes, of what she should know to notify us if there was a reason, right?
Yeah.
And I can't think of a good reason off the top of my head either where.
Well, and another one might be like, you know, we've discussed before, like the properties in Roxville, and because there's mowing. And so if we're paying somebody to drive up to Roxville, like there could be a scenario where the cost benefit is like, you know.
I mow them anyway. So
they're real, we got Uwe, no cost.
Yeah. But yeah, I tend to agree. I don't think there's many scenarios like that.
Okay.
But as long as we have a little bit of that discretion, you're like, I don't think we should take this.
Yeah.
Bring it to her. We still.
It would probably be some sort of an extenuating circumstance that I would say,
I would think it would be something that was like, within the city, if there was a conflict in land use and zoning.
Sure.
We didn't feel like we would be in a position to resolve that because of the conflict of it being a public entity or something. That's sitting here thinking that's not the only thing I can come up with.
I agree.
Fair enough, then yeah, we can leave that general. If something does kind of raise a red flag, then she can notify the board.
Yeah.
Outside of that.
Perfect.
So,
thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Great. All right, public, any input from the public today? All right, next meeting.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Just curiosity. You said that you're looking for properties that might fit the criteria to fill out the grant if people wanted to have them demolished. And you still have funds that are unimpeded for this calendar year of the grant, correct?
I have a handful that are being withdrawn from our current grant funds,
Well,
and then we've got the new grant.
I can give you about a half a dozen in Kingston that need either removed or redone because they are nothing but eyesores. And in one case, the one house is covered with asbestos shingles and the guy just died in it in June. And I don't know whether it could be redone or not, but it definitely needs something done with it because it's not going to improve on its own.
Yeah.
The key is access.
Yeah.
Right, so that's the thing, is do we have access to these properties? Or
And see, that I can't tell you, but the only way you find out is start making phone calls and inquiring and see if people want to help. As to the one that's being torn down in Kingston, whenever it happens, the elderly lady has passed away since the process started. But she couldn't afford to tear it down. Once it's torn down, now you've got a viable lot that can be sold and rebuilt on, and now you've got income producing property as far as sale or real estate taxes, which is the ultimate scenario in my way of looking at it.
Yeah, agree.
And there's potential in Kingston, but I'm willing to work with somebody, but I don't know how to actually institute moving forward at this point.
I have reached out, for what it's worth, to Devin and Kim and gotten a list of township contacts. And so I reached out via email, and I think you were copied, soliciting for properties. We have an online form that Seth has built for us so that we can accept that information. And so the mayor of Kingston was on that, as well as any other trustees or mayors for other villages that Devin was able to provide me. So communication has gone out. We've reached out a couple of different ways. And there have been probably, well, I have the list, maybe 5 or 6 submitted so far. So there's a little bit of traction. But yes, proving access is the most difficult part.
Tricia, I had contacted you about a property. I reached out to the township trustee. We had complaints on this property for 40 years on and off. And the deadline was Friday. I don't know.
You can still get it.
Okay, because we would have to reach out. I don't have a number for the man who owns the property, and I'd have to try to find him, and I wasn't able to do it by Friday.
Okay. We'll get it.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
For what it's worth, I think that approach is absolutely right in what we're looking for. From a housing stock standpoint, the land bank has a place to play in that, where we know from our comprehensive plan, and you have your comprehensive plan in the city, we have a need for residential growth and an increase in housing stock. One of the ways to address that, aside from new development housing, is infill housing in villages in the city where there's lots that could be infilled with a new productive use if we were to clean it up and remediate it. I think, as the treasurer said, it's about access and actually having the ability to take ownership, possession of those properties. But if there's a list out there of properties, that's exactly what we're looking to do. If we can gain access and gain control of them, I think that's the goal here for all of us.
So if you haven't already, give us those addresses and we'll...
Well, I can get them.
Yeah.
My biggest concern is if there's no back taxes owed, but a party will not mow the grass, does not live there, and basically leaves the house set there to the detriment of their neighbors. How do you address that moving forward?
That would be the village.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be village or
Depends on the jurisdiction you're in.
So if Kingston gets a nuisance part to their existing ordinance and or to their, what's the right term when you either have it or you don't in the county? Zoning, because they have in-house zoning. Can you, if you have a nuisance portion to that, can you get those houses condemned so that something can be done to take them over and make living properties out of them instead of just eyesores?
Yeah, that's how we do it in the city.
Well, and the only reason I'm asking this question is, I can tell you right now, the only way anything's gonna get done is somebody like me is gonna have to drive the boat, because there's no vested interest in doing it. There's a lot of talk, but that's all it is, and talk's cheap.
Yeah, that's, I mean, whether it's, there are properties in the city where we mow the nuisance properties, and if they're abandoned, basically, over time, if they don't pay the fine, then it goes on their taxes, and eventually that'll be foreclosure if they're just ignoring
Right,
it.
it'll equate to that.
Correct, yeah, and then on the other side of things, if it's a condemned home, you know, because we have residential building code, and code standards, then that's another way we've been able to get access. We don't have a written agreement when we say, well, we have access vis-a-vis the poor condition of the property, on an official standard. So yeah, I think that's the best way you're gonna get anything cleaned up, especially stuff like tall grass, which is pretty simple, which I think is state code as well. I think the revised code has something on.
What about
tall grass.
abandoned vehicles that are unlicensed?
Same thing.
Even though they're on private property, that can help alleviating the problem forward?
Yeah, I mean, if that's defined in the code and permissible by law, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think abandoned vehicles can
Can come under townships.
right, yeah. So, yeah, I think that all falls under the same bucket. Yep.
But that would be something that the Village of Kingston would have to have within their ordinances and be enforced
Exactly.
within their ordinances.
But
for us.
if you're gonna expand it to just do some property, and you can get a couple other sides to that, so it's more encompassing, then you can fix the problem solely, so that somebody just can't ease around it just because you fixed one piece of it.
It would take the village to get on board with it and enforce it, and then that's just another tool in the toolbox to be able to address these issues.
Which means that public officials have to decide that they want to do their job instead of just be elected officials.
Sounds like some concerned citizens ought to show up and nudge them in that direction.
Well, my biggest problem is I don't live in the village.
Okay.
I'm
I'm sure
on
there's
public-
plenty of people in the village that probably do care about these same properties. though.
I'm on public water and sewer, and I pay more than they do, but trying to get some of these people motivated are not exactly an easy process.
All right, any other public comment? Next meeting, how does June 12th look? I'm sorry, January 12th. We'll do twice a year. Sounds pretty good to me.
I'll be here.
We do 10:30, would that be all right?
Kathy?
I'll get it.
Kathy? January 12th, 10:30? Unless it's gonna be June.
It probably will be.
January 12th, 10:30, laying back.
Good, all right. January 12th, 10:30. There's nothing else for the good of the order, I'll entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
How long has that been in this point?
Did you get that?
No, you're fine. I'm sure we can copy Have a good day.
The first time I saw a picture, I was like, that picture, shit.
Mayor, don't watch the,
Well, have a good holiday, bud.
That's done.
Thanks, God. I didn't realize how all that weird.
It's not good for your ears.
Private, his family, as long as it.
So does that mean the land bank now owns it?
As long as you can primary.
So the land bank
What
has
self-
we're about to say, the land bank has a petition to take possession of it, that's what we were just talking about today. So eventually it gets forward, forfeited and be paid by the county. So county-
Kevin, how are you?
Unless another municipality with rights,
As long as it's not, you know.
so that's what we're talking about today, unless there's some crazy.
But
The
200
land bank will petition their
I know that their county.
That's one of the.
And when I was I mean, I know they zoned a lot of those townships.
How are things out?
Townships without, they set those based on what the health department years ago had
We're making a little bit of effort here.
And I would say.
One house that burned down.
They started out.
I talked to the owner.
Everybody always says that.
Give me permission to go in.
They said that'll probably be the way it is the rest of my life. You know, I do things, I started playing piano to help with the glue paint. Because my fingers are so sore.
3209, but the house burned down, the other skill.
It is side effect of working because it's
I got permission to close that.
it's helping short-term memory and long-term memory get a little more in line. I stay active, I'm always, I'm not laying on the couch.
One that's
Falling in the
3209.
sorrow, so that.
That's what it's done. The last time I talked to them,
You know, I had thought I'd go over Fox. It was time for me to find something else, and actually this is what this is. I got to pull my hat.
Get them to sign.
I got the sheepdog out there.
The other guy,
The other ones and all this crap out there.
yeah, the guy that.
We got some stuff coming out. It's gonna be easy.
That's right.
The other one, the property was burned down.
That's important. Yeah, get me.
If I got an email that says, hey, look, I can.
Because, you know, when I came to the company, I had to do my so I couldn't talk. I couldn't type, I couldn't write, you know, and all the dudes keep it.
Right.
All the stuff I've seen, all the bad decisions I made in my life, all the things I could do, that's all I do, I couldn't express.
Like I said, they gave me access between that's why.
In that agreement. Just because if you get an address and we'll mail it.
The address,
Your address. I don't have to know somebody.
Like the mailing address is on the county log. Maybe text them, let them know, we'll mail them the access agreement, they'll be able to sign it and send it back.
Where your mind's still good, but your body won't.
Yeah.
Product being in prison in your body.
That's what.
Well, the health board got a lot of
We live there. Be about 18 months. What? Like,
It's that way.
graduate about 7 months.
we have a solution. Get my
He'll run them out.
Yeah,
I know the guy who owns the one property.
that's right, I'm a gabbard too. That's the Irish in my mom says that.
I can get contact with him.
My son's working.
I know he'll keep it low.
She did finish.
Then the other one, I'll go in.
Save some money.
We don't talk.
That's what I did.
Even if they live in 2,000 homes.
Like half blocked it up.
Oh, yeah.
They were Cameron and Blaze, it was like pouring.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
He ain't gonna take it.
I like some of this stuff.
You know, there's a lot of.
Yeah.
All right.
Good morning, gentlemen.
How you doing?
I'm wonderful.
Good. Floor is yours.
Floor is mine, huh?
Yep.
Well, I don't think I need to introduce myself to y'all, but I will for the record. Eric Cochran, I'm retired from the Ross County Sheriff's Office. Today is the 3-year anniversary of my shooting.
Wow.
And I'll be honest with you, I've come a long way. There are still some things that need to be addressed, but that'll be the rest of my life. And that's going to be health issues and mental health issues. That second part is why I'm here today. This is Daniel Matthew.
Hi, how you doing?
He's the owner of Dirty South Therapeutics across from the dock on Water Street.
There's a story behind that name.
But we've been talking and we've come up with a plan of attack for our boys and girls out there as first responders. And in that, I'm going to turn it over to him in just a minute. He's going to give you some information on it. But the plan is this. When I woke, I was just telling him, when I woke from my coma, I spent 5 days with a tube in my mouth.
and I was in a coma for 8 days, so I had no dexterity in my fingers. I couldn't type, I couldn't write. I laid there for 5 days just going over all the bad stuff I'd seen, all the bad things happened in my life, but also the things I'd seen in my career. And I don't ever want somebody else to go through that, because I know what solves it. Back in the days before cell phones, when we would come back from a call, we'd actually sit down at the table and we'd talk about it, get it off our chest, and that would help a lot. Well, they don't do that these days. These younger generation, they get right on their phones and they don't communicate very well. And I want to find a solution to at least alleviate some of the problems that our folks are seeing, because we're sending them to multiple calls every day, and then we're doing this every day. So when I was working at the sheriff's office, it was a 12-hour shift, and I'd take 10 calls a day, and 3 of those could be traumatic. And then I have to go to an elderly person's home who got their credit card information stolen online and act like nothing's wrong with me. And there has to be some sort of mental health for our folks that is cost effective, that is non-judgmental, confidential, and we need to break the stigma of, if I go, they're going to suspend me, or if I go, they're going to take my badge and gun. So that's what Mr. Matthews is going to kind of run you through here shortly, but we're asking for, we'd like to have $10,000 to kick this off, started in January. He has, and like I said, I'll give him the game plan here in a minute, but I think you guys know me, you know where my heart is. My heart's in Ross County. I could have went back to Columbus when all this happened, but I chose to stay here because I love this county. I believe in this county. I believe in our men and women here, and I say this all the time. I get to be a sheepdog for the sheepdogs now, and that's where I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Matthews.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Daniel Matthews, owner of Dirty South Therapeutics. I'm a licensed independent social worker with supervisory status, or in some states, a licensed clinical social worker. They do it different places, but I have some data here for you all, but I'll just talk a little bit about why I think this is important. So obviously, first responders in any part, police officers, EMTs, firefighters, they're out there putting their lives on the line every day. I have some clients that are first responders right now, because I also see people. And I was talking with one, and he said that most people will experience the average of 2 to 3 traumatic events in their lifetime. First responder may experience 2,300 traumatic events, right? And those are secondary trauma events sometimes, but also the events that they experience themselves. What I brought here for you all to look over are just really some statistics showing that first responders 2 to 3 times more likely to die by suicide than the general population. And there are approximately 1,000 first responder deaths by suicide annually in the United States. Firefighter rates are 18% higher for suicide than the general population. 45% of police officers report suicidal thoughts at some point in their career, and EMTs have a suicide rate nearly 1.5 times higher than civilians. And of course, PTSD affects 30% of first responders, which increases their risk of suicide. I won't read through all of these because I know you all are very aware of what these folks deal with, and we don't see a lot of it because of the stigma, right? That's a big part of it. The stigma, worried that somebody would be punished, or they might not be able to work anymore, which could lead to economic issues. But we believe that if we can put this plan into place where it is a more confidential program, to where the chiefs are involved, the superiors are involved, to where they know that, okay, if someone needs help, then I'm going to discreetly say, hey, this is where you can get this help at, right? A dedicated line for just first responders to be able to call to help minimize that fear that, oh, I'm going to be going to this place and people are going to know that I'm getting treatment of some sort, whatever, right? So we're all going to reduce some of those things. But a lot of the good things that can come out of treatment are there was a up to 25% reduction in suicidal ideation among first responders who were able to get this treatment, but only 25% of first responders who died by suicide had actually received any treatment at all. And then, of course, this one here, suicide completion, reduces risk factors. The PTSD, depression intervention can be linked to a reduction greater than 50% in those cases. So there are a lot of statistics here, a lot of data, and this data is also recent, April 29, 2025. So try to find the most recent data as possible. And there are also references in the back here, so you know where this data came from. But so one of the biggest things is, you know, kind of break down the culture, right? Of you know, don't ask for help, just go to work, do your job, right? Just go to work, do your job, keep doing it. We want them to keep doing it, but if they don't have the help they need, then it's going to either shorten their career or there could be other issues that can play out at home, right? Because if you're not dealing with a problem within yourself, it's going to come out somewhere. If it can't come out at work, or if you can't deal with it in a safe environment where you can process and get the help you might need, then it's going to come out somewhere. We see that in substance use. There's high prevalence of alcohol use among first responders. And so even that we offer, all of our clinicians are licensed, by the way, which is not always typical in a lot of areas, not just here, but a lot of areas. So high quality people with the training and the background needed to actually address this in a way that can be really helpful. And then let me see what else. So yeah, and so just this one statistic here, 45% of police officers reporting suicidal thoughts at some point in their career. That's, to me, that's pretty scary, you know, that they may have this and then may not have someone to talk to about it. But yeah, so that's really all the stuff that I wanted to really talk with you about right now, I guess, so yeah.
So the game plan is to have a business card type for the wallet for each responder that has their information as well as the foundation's information. The call to the dedicated line, if it's not answered immediately, you know, message is left, they will receive a call back within 2 hours. If it is an emergency situation, Mr. Matthews will be able to get the first responder in within 48 hours. If it's a non-emergency situation, then we can work around the schedule of the first responder. There's multiple ways to report, and that's self-reporting, peer supporting, which would be the foundation or some other entity, and then there's supervisor reporting. Here's the big kicker that I believe will help not just the departments, but the county as well. By giving them a plan and having a solid plan, the chief or the sheriff or whatever can go to that person and say, okay, you've been involved in an incident or we have some concern. Here is the information. You're on light duty or suspended or whatever they need to do until you talk to them. They reach out to Mr. Matthews. It's a dedicated person. The sheriff can call and say, did they show up? He says, they showed up. He says, are they fit for duty? He says, yay or nay. That is it. No other information is given out. Not the number of visits that there are, not what they said during the visit, none of it. Unless they are going to be a harm to themselves or others, they are covered under HIPAA and Ohio law, ORC number.
Under CFR 42, Part 2, that part as well. It's another part of the HIPAA for if there are substance use issues or any other things. But yeah, absolutely confidential, just like we would treat any other person that was coming in to get care. But this is a little more sensitive because of the nature of the professions that these folks are in. So, yeah, we want to make sure that they know they can get help and there's not going to be repercussions. That really, that seeking help is the best option. It is the best thing to do.
And the two best points for the first responder themselves is confidentiality, and they offer telehealth.
Yep.
So they're not seen going in and out of the building every week. They're not, you know, somebody driving by saying, "Oh, I saw you go into the mental health place." Okay, there's complete ability to have confidentiality for the first responder and to be able to get this help. And one thing I learned through my mental health journey is I spent more time talking about what happened to me since my last event, or since my last visit, than I did the event itself. The event itself, as we all know, was very short, 26 seconds. 26 seconds that changed my life, but in the following months, I lost memory, I lost track of time. There are still days that, you know, I feel like I am back November 17, 2022, and everybody else is 2025, because when I look in the mirror, I have all these scars, and there's nothing I can do to avoid that. But I've used it. I've used it as a catalyst to keep a promise that I kept during my first interview with the news, and I said, I want it to be 100% paid for. The first responder doesn't have to worry, and I want them to have the ability to seek the help without the stigma. And I said that, and I made that promise, and I'm keeping that promise. And you know, we had a conversation the other day, and some members of my board, who are a great group of people, they had some concerns, but I told them, I said, look, we have things to do, either get out of the way or go with me. I don't have time to be idle with these boys and girls. This should be a program that's already years and years and years old, 20, 15 years old. Why I'm the guy to think of it or to put it into play, I don't know. Maybe that's the reason I survived what I survived, but I've always been stubborn, I've always been high drive, and I've continued that, and I'm hoping that you guys will help us to continue that.
When you get the same spiel that some other people came in and asked for money, you know, it always works better if we know what we're buying. Mm-hmm. So what specifically will you use the funds to purchase or agree?
So if someone has insurance, then we will, because we accept all forms of insurance. That was something I wanted to do when I started my company, was to break down barriers to care. So for Medicare, Medicaid, commercial, marketplace, we take them all. OSU, Adena, we take them all. So, and it was a lot of work to get that, but we did it. And so we'll take insurance if they've got their insurance, and then we will reduce the rate from 150 to 100. And if whatever their insurance doesn't cover, or if they don't have insurance, that's where this funding will come in to cover co-pays, deductibles, because one of the barriers that first responders have found in the past is financial cost, right, to not seeking care. So that's what we're going to do, is to apply that funding to co-pays, deductibles, and then hopefully in the near future, because Governor DeWine put a lot of money back for overall health and well-being of first responders, I think back in 2021, because I've been digging into this more and got a good grant writer to get things moving with, but hopefully this won't be, this will just really be the start. And so if this money, say the $10,000, this would cover 100 sessions. So if an individual just needs, maybe 2 months of treatment, or whatnot, that could be 1 session a week, so that's 8 sessions, right? So this will actually pay for quite a bit of sessions, and that's if someone doesn't have insurance at all. So that it would buy 100 sessions is essentially what this would do.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So what we'll do is any grant money or any funding will be put into a mental health fund, and that will be for the first responders. Mm-hmm. Any fundraising that we do, we will use that as our operating cost. That way we don't have crossover money. We don't have to worry about, we know where every dime is being spent. We know how much money is in that account. He will be able to bill us. We'll be able to pay that bill. Forgive me, I get emotional, but the challenge is, and he said this, which was why I chose him, no barriers. And I want to be able to fund this 100%, not worry about money. We'll raise money for our operating costs. Our operating costs are minimum right now. We maybe spent $300 this year. We have $2,500 in the bank. We have $300 of it earmarked for first responder, mental health, just to keep it, that already started. But that will be placed, we will make a separate account at West Banco where we bank for just that. And then every dollar of that can be tracked. If there's ever an audit, if there's ever any question, that gives complete transparency. All of our meetings, we don't call them board meetings, we call them meetings because anybody is welcome. They're welcome to give their ideas, and we want to make sure that the transparency is there because my name is on this. Everybody knows my name, everybody sees this. I want to make sure that if someone, I don't care if it's John Smith from Lancaster, says I want to see your books, there you go. But it also gives us that drive to make sure that we are, and he will be providing us with stats.
Yes.
So that we can track and start to budget for the next year. We'll do that quarterly. And then I will be able to see where I need to focus that attention to get more of those first responders in.
Yeah, because we'll be doing screenings at initial intake and as we go along to track progress, to make sure that if symptoms are going up, what we need to do, what we need to change, is there a different approach that we might need to take? And so, so we're going to be gathering all that clinical data on our side to show how the program's working, because I was really excited to even find out that someone wanted to do this. So, yeah.
I think we both had this idea, and we finally got together. The people that will be eligible will be active first responders who are in good standing with their departments. And in the future, as we gain more funding, we would like to bring in retired first responders, because we all know we're all retired from other jobs. We know that there are still issues, and we want to make sure that they get the help also. Anyone who has been fired or let go from a department or quit, we would do that on a case-by-case basis. It would depend on the need, the reason for their leaving that agency, and that decision will be left up to me. I will make all the decisions about who is eligible and not eligible. That will run through me. If I ever have any, I'm not sure on one, I'll take it to the board and I'll let the board decide on that. So I think that starting off with our active first responders is going to really open up a huge door, but having the proper funding and having that money set aside in a proper place to be able to look at it, we may be able to get to the retired first responders faster than we thought. We're thinking maybe the end of next year, but I'd like to do it by July. That would be wonderful if we can get the grants and the funding.
And something too with the retired folks, and if they do have Medicare or some form of insurance, I have been, I'm very okay with reducing rates to be able to pay my clinicians, because we don't have to make money off of everybody, is the way I see it. So there could be some instances, cases, if we don't have funding at that time, that and somebody really does need to be part of the program, that we can work those things out as well. So,
and advise them about your clinicians.
I have 11 clinicians right now. All of them, except for 2, are licensed social workers. 3 of them are independent. With supervisor, well, one has their supervisor, one's about to get that status next month. 2 of them actually. And I have an LICDC, licensed independent chemical dependency counselor, who is going to be certified in gambling addiction next month, and then EMDR in January. EMDR is one of the top treatments that works well for first responders, which really for a lot of people that experience traumatic events. So that's going to be great. I could not ask for a better crew. It just kind of organically happened this way. I used to work for a couple big places, and I've met some great people along the way. And when I started this thing, a lot of them just were like, "Hey, I want to join you." 4 of them left their full-time jobs and now work with me, which to me kind of was a little crazy because they had benefits at the other place. We're still 1099 right now because I started this thing myself from the ground up without extra stuff for, but yeah, so all these individuals are excellent with a lot of different backgrounds. Many of them have been in practice probably 10 years more than myself, which I think is really awesome. A lot of different experiences, working at the prisons, with veterans at the VA. I did my internship for my master's degree at the VA, and so that was really when I saw a lot of need at that time, and so so that's a good thing in that they're all and we all different hours as well. Everybody picks their own hours, so it's a collaboration instead of I'm your boss, you're going to do this, you're going to do what I say. Everybody just kind of jumps in and has all different ideas and strengths, and it has worked really well that way.
Is there other jurisdictions or entities that have jumped on for support, or are we the first?
Well, I have Texas Roadhouse has become our sponsor. The events that they've done, they've donated their monies to us, and I do have a company, an overlanding group out of Michigan called KGX Overlanding. They do something very similar for veterans, and I have asked them to speak with their sponsors, which is a very big conglomerate up in Michigan. It's a co-op, and they do a lot of fund sponsoring, and we've yet to be able to get in front of their board, but that may come in the future. They have asked about us. They actually have heard about us through them, and they have asked to speak to us, so they may be able to provide funding in the future as well. And like you said, we had a meeting on Thursday, and on Friday he called me. He said, "This lady came in, she's a grant writer, and she wants to know about writing grants." And I was like, "Well, I need a grant writer. We just talked about this last night with my board." So we actually have someone who wants to come on board and write grants. So we're gonna seek funding in many different areas. But the thing for me is this: if I'm helping one a day, one a week, one a month, one a year, and I've done my part, and I know I can do way more than one, and no matter what happens, this is going to be phenomenal. We're both so excited. I mean, the first time we met, we talked for an hour, and afterwards we were like brothers. We had ideas and things were flowing, and the next morning we had a proposal put together. Yep. And we have the layout for all of what the department responsibilities will be, Dirty South's responsibilities, the Cochran Strong Foundation. We have a press release kind of mapped out. We have done a lot in the last 2 weeks, probably more than I've ever done in the last 10 years. And this has actually been something that I've wanted to do for a long time and just could never get it off the ground. And now that I have this extra time, enjoying my retirement, I get to do it. But I'll be honest with you, this is therapeutic for me. This helps me in ways that no clinician could. And Mr. Matthews can attest to this. I am in the middle of it. I'm in the trenches with the boys and girls, and I never really lost that, where I was part of the gang on patrol. Well, I'm in that now. I'm still in it. So I got an advantage out of it that a lot of retired people do not get. And we've seen that. They retire and they just suddenly they age and they get sicker. And I didn't. I got better. I feel so strongly about this that it is therapeutic for me.
I'm gonna throw something hard out there at you. How are you gonna get these knuckleheads to come in to see you guys?
So, one of the.
You can ask them, you can lead them.
Sure, yeah.
You know, I've been in this thing for a long time.
Yeah.
Longer than I've been one.
Well,
I think seeing me head it, I think having that, we're gonna go to each department
Yes.
together.
Yep.
And we're gonna kick this off at each department. We're gonna lay it out there, but I really think my presence is one of those things that will get the first person in there, which will bring two, which they'll start talking, then it'll bring three. That's where I see it. I see these folks have not gone a month or two without seeing me. I visit the fire departments. I come into the sheriff's office. I go over to the city police. I've talked to the troopers. If I see somebody parked on the side of the road in a cruiser, I pull up and I talk to them and I tell them, keep your vest on, number one. And number two, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. And 90% of them have said, let me know when you get it done. Because it's a one-on-one conversation. It's just me and them. And they know my confidentiality is 100%. And they respond almost immediately with, let me know when it's done. That tells me they're wanting to have this. That tells me they understand the environment these days is so toxic that they have to do something because they're seeing it in their relationships with their children, relationships with their family, and their spouses or significant others. And I really honestly think this face, my presence, my pushiness will...
Don't say that about your face.
Hey, you know what? I love it that I get to see these folks, and I love it that they are supporting me. They really are. They're so positive and they have questions. That right there tells me they want to know something. There's something there because they question it. They don't just nod their head and go, okay. They ask questions. What are you going to do? How are we going to do it? What's going to be? That tells me that we're ready. This is the time.
There's something of a mechanical question, I guess, just to see how to process this. Is that, what would you say the percentage of people that go through a traumatic event resort to SUD, to drugs?
So
I got quite a few comments of alcohol abuse, but
yeah. So other drugs, well, and see that's one of the dark areas because of the stigma and the kind of just go to work, hide this thing, just deal with it, and go to work. And I think there's underreporting, and so that's the biggest issue is we can't get actual data of how many first responders actually experience issues with substance use problems because it goes underreported. And I think with alcohol, where it is, it's legal, it's in everything. I mean, any kind of event that is around, it's part of it. So I think that's the main thing. But then, I'm sure there are people that are using substances that can keep them awake so they can maybe work those longer shifts so they can jump up and run. Now, I don't know for sure what that percentage would be, but I would say it's higher than any kind of data that is really out there.
SUD is substance use disorder,
Yep.
and alcohol is a substance. So
Yeah.
you can heap all that into it, but
Yeah.
there's opiate funds
Absolutely.
that are available that are not taxpayer money.
Yeah.
That we might talk about the potential of that.
Okay.
Well, one of the first in the first responder community, one of the first things that leads to alcoholism is mental health. One of the first things that leads to any other substance abuse is mental health. And I can tell you from experience that there were times when I was a first responder, I did struggle with alcohol. And that's a fact. And I know that. And yet, knowing that, I still used it because it helped with the pain. It helped with not just the physical pain, but the mental pain. So having a knowledge of alcohol use and the effects didn't deter me. So I feel that if we can hit the mental health portion of this, we can solve some of the alcohol abuse, some of the painkiller abuse, some of the using the substances to stay awake. Because in Ross County, as you all know, and I'm not telling you anything new, but I'm just kind of saying for the record, the city of Chillicothe is the only full-time department. They're the only ones that get any kind of benefits. The others are volunteer, and they don't get full-time. So you have men and women who are working 2-3 different departments. They're doing a 24-hour shift and going to another department to do a 24-hour shift. And because it's a different department, there's no labor issue. But they're working 48 hours. A lot of these places have inadequate bunk rooms for them to sleep. They have inadequate cooking areas for them to have healthy meals and to be able to eat regularly. And they have inadequate areas for showering, detoxing, cleaning uniforms. You know, one of the big killers of firemen is carcinogens, and that's the smoke that gets into your stuff. And there's departments don't even have washing machines to wash their uniforms. Those things are very expensive. You know, we have issues, I've talked to the chiefs at the chiefs meeting, we have issues where we need to start putting bulletproof vests or at least some sort of stab-proof vest in our ambulances, because we're getting our boys and girls pulled guns and knives on them in the back of the ambulance. We have to send officers on certain calls because those patients are known to be violent. They're known to be physically violent. And now we are taking resources from the taxpayers that could be used somewhere else. They could be out solving crimes, preventing burglaries, deterring drunk driving, looking for dope. But yet they're on a call for grandma because grandma gets violent. And it's a waste of resources, where if our folks were supported mentally and they're a little sharper when they go to these calls, you know, they're running IVs, they're running medicines, they're running, doing a lot of things at one time. We can't have them out here physically or mentally exhausted. And if we're not solving, and not all these problems are mine to solve, I know that, but if we don't solve all these problems or find solutions to at least some of these problems, we're going to have men and women out here that are going to do something that are going to get us sued. Here's the thing. If the sheriff comes up and says, you have to go, they're covered. They have a plan. There is a plan in place. They are legally covered to be able to say in a lawsuit, we provided it to them, they refused to go. We can't force them. That's illegal. But it was here, this was the path, and they chose not to go. That is off of our shoulders. Takes it off of us, takes it off of him. We're all legally covered. It takes it off of you.
How are we going to get by that? Get past that, where, you know, there was times that I went on calls and I never said anything whatsoever to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about it today.
Right.
Or in just, you know, how are we going to get the first responders to understand you need to talk to somebody?
Well, I, if you don't mind, in our proposal, there is a section that is first responder agencies. While they do not have access to individual clinical data, the agencies play a crucial role in enabling access and supporting the program's goals. And in that, there is a section for the chiefs and command staff formally endorse the program and implements policies that encourage its use, time off following a critical incident, for example, and promoter. Ensures the dedicated program contact information is disseminated widely and frequently.
Yeah, it's education.
And I think that is where we are going to win the bigger battle, is getting the chiefs on board, getting the sheriffs and everybody on board, being able to tell these folks, we want you to get mental health. We have a program. It is paid for, and it's not paid for out of our pocket, so that's even better. That keeps us in our budget. And now I'm telling you, I want you to go. I want you to seek help. I want you to come to work and be an effective employee. I want you to be a safe employee. I want you to make sure that your mental health is guarded, so when you leave this place, whether it be retirement or move on to something bigger and better, that your mental stability is there for your wife, your children, and our community. And I think that is the key right there that will win the bigger battle as this goes on.
And the peer piece, right? So what I have experienced, I have a client and his wife as well, because I've done a lot of family therapy with them, that I started working with about 6 years ago, veteran, and his PTSD symptoms were so bad that one of the things that he was like, he would say, my wife wants me to show her affection and I'm not going to effing do it, because he could not experience positive emotions, which is a symptom of PTSD. So working with them for as long as I have, now it's a different person. They have a great relationship. They're happy. Yeah, they get on each other's nerves. Yeah, there are life things like, you're spending too much money. Well, you're not. Well, okay, so yeah, just different things. But because of that case, just that case alone, I have gotten so many more referrals from that one veteran, and they have come from people that he works with, where he works, and just other vets that he knows, or even veterans that he doesn't, but are working in the same kind of facility, because he's still doing this work, right? And so that, I think the peer aspect is going to be huge. I think if once we get started and there's some folks that see, oh wait, this actually is helpful, and oh, I can keep doing my work, I'm better for it, my family's better for it. I think that's going to be a big piece of it, because I have actually been just surprised at how many come in because this one person said, hey, you need to go do this.
I think that clientele is also a good reflection of what can go wrong, because in today's society, in the jail and the treatment centers, that all starts with mental health, and you get called, you don't get any good calls. You get the worst of the worst with people with mental health issues. You see it raw. And seeing that raw and then internalizing that, this could happen to me, I think that's trigger enough to go get some help if you see some signs.
Absolutely.
My triggers aren't big. My triggers are being in a room full of people at a restaurant or something, and if I'm not engaged in the conversation at my table, I can hear every other conversation. That's my trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Where if I'm not actually talking, and we all know if you tie my hands together, I can't even speak, but if I'm not talking to the folks at my table, I hear every other conversation, even the ones on this far side, because now I'm trying to find something to keep my brain from kicking into overdrive. I have to occupy it with positive things, and then now I'm occupying it with negative things. Driving. Sometimes I'm driving and I realize I don't even know how I got where I'm at. And it triggers anxiety because I'm so into what's going on in my head that I'm like, well, I was going to Lowe's. How did I end up in Washington Courthouse?
Mm-hmm.
I went the wrong way.
Go to Home Depot.
But that's not where I was going, And I've had that happen multiple times. I struggle, some days I struggle to tie my shoes because I can't bend over. I don't have the flexibility anymore. If you don't know, I was cut from the bottom of my neck all the way down past my navel, right through my abs. They will take years to heal. So I have no upper body strength. I can't work out like I used to. I can't run like I used to. I can't lift things like I used to. 10 pounds, I'm still on a 10-pound weight restriction 3 years later.
Wow.
Because they are afraid that I may herniate something, I may tear something, and because of all the traumatic damage that was done to my body, it doesn't know where to send the pain signals, so it sends it everywhere. It's I guess almost testament to a TBI, traumatic brain injury, because the brain doesn't know what to do. There's so much going on, and then we have the thought process going on, so my brain's working in so many different ways. But I struggle to do the most simple things, to dress myself, to walk certain distances, to stay awake all day. I have to take a nap every day. If I don't, I'm like a zombie, then that kicks insomnia in, and then I'm up till 3 a.m., 3, 4 a.m., and can't figure out why the next day I feel like crap. So there are a myriad of issues here that fall into mental health. We all know that. And it will never be solved. We all know that also. But I think if we can solve some of these little problems here with this initiative, we're going to do wonders for these folks. Because every day that I get up, I think to myself, okay, I've got another day, and people need my back, need my help. And that's how I motivate myself to do what I'm doing now. Every day. I look in the mirror and I go, okay, we gotta go to work. We got work to do. Even if it's sell a ticket for a dinner, if it's to make a phone call, answer an email, there's always something for me to do with this every day. And I am so glad to have it because it's a blessing. I am a very blessed man. We all know this, but I have a support system behind me that is just absolutely amazing. It is made up of first responders, non-first responders, people who are married to first responders, people who have cousins that are first responders, people who have never had any contact with the first responder other than an EMT or fireman or policeman coming to their residence. And not a single one of them has had one negative thing to say about it, about what I've told them. And I think that will give us also a catalyst to do the fundraising that we are already doing to help our operating costs, because this year at the softball game for the first responders, I had about 5 of them come up and go, who are all these people? Because none of us knew them because it was the general public. The word is finally getting that we're doing these things. And they were like, we don't know these people. And even I said, I don't know. And that made my heart leap more than making any bit of money, because there were people supporting our first responders. And they were having such a good time that they saw, oh my God, they're people too. They like to have fun. They like to goof off and joke around. They saw the human side of them, which will help us in the long run too. You know, if they've seen that first responder in a human situation out of uniform, when they see them in uniform, they treat them differently. They do. You know, if it's somebody that you know that you're friends with and they show up as a first responder, you do treat them differently. And that is a positive thing that we can also bring from this mental health is when they show up to these calls, they're going to be brighter people. They're going to be more friendly. They're not going to say these dumb things that they like to say because it's their way of releasing it. They release it on them in hopes that they don't report it. It's an outlet. Because I can't say it to my wife because my wife's going to argue with me. I can't say it to my kids because they're teenagers and they don't want to talk to me. So I'm going to say it to, you know, Joe Smith on the road because I'm going to hope he doesn't report me and nobody watches my body camera. And that's fact. I can tell you that from experience.
Yeah, we can understand that. You know, it's just a question what you were doing on your last call with the kind of attitude I'm going to get on this call.
It is. Right. It really is. If I saw a traffic crash at 6 a.m. that had a death, and at noon I had to go to Kingston to do a mailbox damage, I'm going to have an attitude. I'm going to show my emotion. Because the more I lock it down, the more I cause myself damage. And we all know this. We know this going into the job, but we still do it because it's what we're told to do. And there's no other outlet for us that has been provided by the first responder agencies. I don't know of one that, and there may be, don't get me wrong, but I personally don't know of one department that has any mental health anywhere in the Tri-County area, with the exception of the Columbus Police Department and the Highway Patrol. That's it. Even the Franklin County Sheriff's Office does. And they have 30,000 employees.
Well, we're running way over
yes.
our next.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. This is all good to hear. But we'll get together and we'll discuss this.
And we appreciate your time.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. And if there's any questions, feel free to contact us. We'll be more than happy to answer them.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you'll have a great day.
Could I have a copy of that, please?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You sent me a text the other day.
I did. I want you to buy tickets for my dinner.
I know.
There's some cards as well.
Except for the Ford. I've got them right here in my hand.
So
I think you should buy like 10 and give it to some friends.
So the name real quick, I'll be real quick. So I worked for a large company that
Good to see
is
you,
all
buddy.
over Ohio.
Thank you. Doing
And they
good.
put a lot of resources in the cities.
Jack,
And,
always good to see you.
they're-
I can see your wife tonight when I go to the piano.
There you go.
December the 4th.
And we didn't have
They're
any
not
of
yet.
that. They said careful all, so my boss would always say, you're down there in the dirty south. I said, no, we get kicked the scraps and the dirt down here in rural. And they
It's
were
funny,
getting
we're
all
busy
this
around,
funding.
now that we're retired than when we worked on.
Rural
I'll be in the
dollars.
senior school doing
And
that.
they weren't doing.
I still be with you to get statistics.
Yeah.
Just let me know.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And I didn't really pay that, but I'm looking at
Hi, I'm sorry, we've never met.
I'm Kathy.
Kathy or
Yeah.
Copper?
Oh, no,
Thank you.
thank you.
I
I don't know what
the
all
time.
that
We
is,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
You just let me know.
Okay.
But I got them, we'll be okay. So, and if you guys are interested in, we have a dinner December 4th for a fundraiser.
Okay.
So if you guys are interested, let us know. And we've got tickets and we're more than happy to give it to you.
And
so.
we do have a prescriber. I forgot to.
And I have them, I always have them on me,
There's
so
mental health meds.
if
and
you
mat
say yes,
therapy.
I'm in town, I'll
But
run
she
them over
does
to you and
mat
drop them
therapy
off.
Very different. What I've
You
noticed
set
around
up.
here is.
Gonna have some
no
live music,
substance
pulled
use, they're
forward.
putting people in Suboxone
Right,
down here.
right.
She does not do
Grab some
that.
raffles.
She treats them with
And I'm
something
gonna
that is
announce
for
this
the
program,
substance
so
they're
that's
supposed
gonna be a
to.
big thing.
That they're
Kind of
coming
glad
up
it.
Yeah.
I worked with her. Yeah, I worked with
Yeah,
her for
'cause
4
I'm gonna be
years.
able to announce
She's
it
great. She spends an
publicly.
hour with them.
We have a 90
And she
day.
actually listens to the therapist as well.
Basically a breakdown of what we're gonna do the next 90 days.
Do we have Chuck out there? Brad, is Chuck out
I'm
there?
thinking
No, he-
the end of January,
He what?
beginning of February.
You up?
Say be back on
Looking for
Friday.
apartments, here you go.
Friday,
Here you
okay.
go, so,
Talk to you then.
yeah.
I've got a couple things here.
There is, and I appreciate you guys giving me the time to speak. And I know I get a little emotional, a little passionate, but I'm passionate about it because I've been there.
I think that's what it takes sometimes.
That's right. I've had to say, yeah, we'll take the money, basically. No, I don't want to take the You're dealing with outreach for that time. You got to keep the people coming back. Because if you're boring, they're going to be like, okay, no, it's not mine, it's not mine. Yeah, and that will be the thing, once they see that it is
Yeah, because one thing is, they don't have.
I told them 2026 is going to be 25 when it's snow. Because once they because they sit around all day and nothing else popping up. Hey, good to see you. I'll let you guys get going.
See you later.
Appreciate you guys all. Thank you. Hey, it's good to see you again. Take care.
All right, I have a appropriation for funds from the DTAC fund, grant, Ross County Land Bank. $161,672.54.
Okay.
Disbursement of the approved 5% of DTAC revenue to the Ross County Land Bank.
Oh, DTEC. Yes.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chuck out there?
You left. That's it, left.
Here, just place
He's
your-
coming back on.
Give you mine Friday.
Talk to you guys.
Well, in that case, I'll have a motion. Well, do we have anything else?
Okay.
No, just read your email. I sent you an email from the Village of Frankfurt. They want a letter of support for grants that they're gonna write, but they don't have any specific grants that they're gonna write. They just want something from you.
Yeah, that's Clarksburg, right?
Frankfurt.
You got one from Frankfurt
Well,
too?
maybe it is Clarksburg.
I think it's
Yeah, it's
Clarksburg.
Clarksburg, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, Clarksburg. Only thing I could think
But it's not specific.
when they apply for the grant, or whichever grant they're gonna apply for, then,
Yeah, I'd rather do specific grants than to whom it's may concern.
Oh, then you make it, oh, then this will work.
Call them by name.
But it's great. And I don't.
When they need that, we'll have it to them the next Monday.
That's what we just. Well, hey, nice to meet you. Thank you. Just send me your information. We'll get a hold of you soon.
Second? All in favor, say aye. Aye.